4 schools have won at least 5 Division I hockey championships, and Minnesota can join that club tonight in the title game at the Frozen Four in Buffalo. But to win their 5th championship and 2nd straight, the Golden Gophers have to stop New Hampshire, the team that upset Cornell in the national semifinals, the team that Minnesota coach Don Lucia says desperately wants to win a national title. Game on, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, ESPN. Sean McDonough and Bob Norton have a look.
Thousands of New Hampshire fans have shuffled off to Buffalo.
Gophers, back-to-back national champions. Back-to-back.
Hoping to watch their Wildcats win the first national championship in the history of the program. And tonight, Thomas Vanek and the Minnesota Golden Gophers in their bid to win back-to-back national titles. Sean McDonough and Bob Norton, we hope you'll be with us at the top of the hour for college hockey's national championship game. And Bob, we hope the action is as good as it was on Thursday. 2 terrific national semifinals.
Yeah, they sure were, and their hottest forward was hot in this game as well, beating Cornell 3-2. Steve Saviano with 2 goals. Saviano gets the assist here from Nathan Martz on the first of his 2 goals. Sean Collins also assisted. That line with 33 points. Martz to Saviano again. Red hot is Saviano, 10 points in the postseason. No one hotter though than Mike Ayers. Hurt in the middle of the game, but he's come back before from injuries, and he comes back again. Lucky break here as Paolini hits the ball, but nothing lucky about this one. A great save on Stephen Bobby preserves the win. Minnesota played superbly against Michigan as the game went on. Their question mark, Travis Weber, not a question mark in this one. Tremendous in the nets. And Paul Martin, the junior out of Elk River, Minnesota. When the goalie wasn't making saves, Martin was. Tremendous save there. Thomas Vanek, huge third-period player and overtime player for the Gophers, gets the winner there.
New Hampshire and Minnesota played 2 games earlier this season back in mid-October in New Hampshire. New Hampshire won 1. The other game was a tie. They'll play tonight with much more at stake. The national title on the line here in Buffalo, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN.
And highlights, no doubt, on the 11 o'clock Sports Center. Kevin Frazier, Rich Eisen. Sports Center is after baseball tonight. Of course, it's right here on ESPN. Our time is up. Thanks for watching. I'm Whit Watson.
And I'm Dave Revson. Again, that NCAA Hockey Championship up next. New Hampshire and Minnesota. Enjoy.
Welcome everyone to a raucous HSBC Arena in Buffalo, New York, where tonight college hockey's national champion will be crowned. The University of New Hampshire Wildcats, looking for their first ever national championship, take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, looking for their 5th. They won the title last year in St. Paul. Each team won 3-2 in the national semifinals on Thursday. New Hampshire dispatched Cornell, while Minnesota went to overtime to take out Michigan. Sean McDonough along with Bob Norton will be joined in just a moment by Adrian Karsten. And Bob, in New Hampshire's win over Cornell, Steve Saviano came to the forefront.
Well, he's been the hottest forward for the Wildcats. 10 points in the postseason. His line, Sean Collins and Nathan Martz, 33 points in the postseason. They've been red hot.
And if there is an edge for New Hampshire, many believe it's in the goal with Michael Ayers, who set the New Hampshire single-season record with 7 shutouts this year, 2nd best in the nation in goals against. But Travis Weber was outstanding for Minnesota in the nets the other night against Michigan.
And no sooner was the game over than the Minnesota fans were saying, well, he hadn't put 2 games together. But I'll tell you, the kid's 1.93 goals against average and a .913 save percentage in the postseason. That could play for me.
And Thomas Vanek, the freshman leading scorer for Minnesota, scored his 30th goal of the season in overtime to eliminate the Wolverines.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Sean, he's 2 goals away from the greatest of all the Gophers, John Mayasich. 32 goals as a freshman. Number 8, the only number retired in the history of the University of Minnesota. This kid gets 2 goals. He ties John Mayasich.
Minnesota in white, New Hampshire in blue. Steve Piotrowski from the CCHA is the referee, and we're underway. Back in his own zone for Minnesota, Matt DeMarchi, the only senior on the ice tonight for the Golden Gophers. They played 6 seniors in the national championship game last year. And he thought it would be a rebuilding year for the Gophers. Not so. They just reloaded with more terrific talent. Markey opens on defense with Paul Martin, number 10. Out into the neutral zone for Thomas Vanek. He tried to play it off to Troy Riddle, but the play was broken up. Now Riddle has it back. Moves into the zone, dumps it off nicely for DeMarkey, and Ayers with the first big save of the night. 40 seconds in.
Exactly what Coach Umile was concerned about at the beginning of the game. The defensemen adding up onto the rush, making it a 4-man rush, 3 forwards and a D.
Very mobile defense core for Minnesota. Dick Umile, the New Hampshire coach, concerned about their ability to create a second wave of offense using Minnesota's defensemen. So here's the freshman Gino Geyer. He snapped one off high and wide. Played off the backboards by Tyson Teplitsky, but not out. Kept into the line by Chris Harrington. Harrington, a freshman. 5 freshmen on the ice tonight for Minnesota. Only 1 for UNH. Geyer tried to center, hit a body, and went out to the point. Sean Collins collided with the defenseman. It was Harrington who went down. Now a great chance for Teplitsky. The defenseman joining the rush for UNH. And Weber equal to the task on his first shot of the night. Icing the call against Minnesota. Bob, in both games Thursday, tentative starts. These two teams look like they're ready to go from the opening bell. Dick Umile, in his 13th season as head coach at UNH, his 7th Frozen Four. And they're trying to win the national championship for the first time. Don Lucia, in his 3rd season last year, won his first national title. Trying to make it back-to-back championships. No team has done that in college hockey since Boston University in 1971 and 72. Good forechecking by this line for Minnesota. With the puck taken back by New Hampshire and cleared. And punting in the neutral zone for the Golden Gophers. Off for Judd Stevens, and his long drive turned aside. This is the 4th line out already here for Minnesota, and they played very well in the NCAA tournament. Running, taking the backboards by Mike Lebesnik. Referee Pietrowski hollering at the players to keep the puck moving. And they oblige for a moment.
Play the puck, move it!
There comes a time, however, when you do just have to blow the whistle. That time hasn't come yet. And the puck comes out. To Garrett Smogard out to the point. A wrister wide from Joey Martin, free off the backboard. For a turnaround shot from Fleming. Martin up from the point. And the free puck finally taken away by New Hampshire. Nearly 3 minutes gone by. No score. Weak shot in from center ice from Justin Aiken. And that allowed New Hampshire a chance to change up. And another icing call against Minnesota. Let's welcome in Adrian Karsten. Adrian?
Sean, thank you very much. The early minutes of this game mean absolutely everything to Dick Umile and New Hampshire. Why? Because he says we have to score first. Over the course of this 41-game season, when they have scored first, they've won over 80% of the time. Don Lucia says if we're going to win 2 consecutive national titles, there's no way we can take another period off like we did Thursday night against Michigan. There's a reason why you don't win 2 years in a row. I just wonder if we have the desire we had a year ago.
They look like they have pretty good desire out here in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game.
Minnesota fell behind Michigan 2-0. Came back with 3 straight goals to win it. It was the other way around for New Hampshire against Cornell. They had a 3-0 lead against the Big Red and then held on. Thanks largely to the great goaltending of Michael Ayers, Jr. from Hingham, Massachusetts.
This is not the kind of game New Hampshire wants to play with Minnesota. Much too wide open early on, Sean. Michael Ayers beat Minnesota earlier in the season 3-1 with 44 saves. I don't think they can do that again. They've got to cut Minnesota's shots down, and Minnesota very offensive early on.
These two teams played twice in the regular season very early on in mid-October and back-to-back nights in Durham, New Hampshire. They played to a 5-5 tie the first night, and New Hampshire won the second night 3-1, as Bob said, behind a career-high 44 saves from Ayers.
It's a 5-5 tie. New Hampshire took 26 penalty minutes.
Coming off the boards, Vanek, he couldn't generate a shot. Now Matt Kowalska put it right on. Ayers made the save, and the rebound cleared away by Teplitsky ahead of Colin Hemingway. New Hampshire playing without its leading scorer for the season, Lanny Gare. He's out with a dislocated shoulder. He did not play against Cornell either. Chris Harrington had trouble with the puck. Here's Hemingway looking to the front. And a shot right on. Weber made the save, and the rebound went wide. Great chance for Nathan Martz, and Weber equal to the task. He's made 2 saves, and both of them have been testing shots from New Hampshire. Nearly 5 minutes played, no score. In center ice, Mike Lubeznik sent it ahead. And back and forth for Minnesota, Keith Ballard. First-round draft choice of the Buffalo Sabres. They've been watching him closely this weekend here in the home arena of the Sabres. Here's an opportunity again for UNH, but March stymied by great back-checking from Barry Talixon. Puck was not kept in at the line, and now the delayed offside whistled down. The assistant referees tonight are John LeDuc and Kevin Langson. No score. An action-packed first 5 minutes plus in Buffalo. We're back at the Frozen Four in Buffalo. No score. New Hampshire, Minnesota. Sean McDonough, along with former college hockey coach and 26-year legendary college hockey broadcaster Bob Norton. And Coach, you think the pace is a little too quick for old UNH? Yeah,
New Hampshire cannot win a fast-paced game. They've got to take the air out of the ball a little bit against Minnesota. Have got to tie them up against the wall a little bit and not let them play this total game at center ice, or they're going to be in big trouble. The 44 saves that Ayers made in the 3-1 win back early in the season, I don't think can be repeated.
There are UNH fans who have certainly waited a lot longer than that fan to see a national championship. Should it come tonight for New Hampshire. And a whistle on another offside as the teams look to move into the zone. The only national championship New Hampshire has won in any sport was in women's lacrosse in 1985. And hockey is the signature program. And Bob, you'd have to say this is probably the most prominent program in college hockey that is yet to win a national title.
Yeah, and you only get the window's only open for so long. This is a team that is sort of primed for this. It's a veteran junior senior team, and this is going to be a good opportunity for them. And they're playing a defending national champion, always a difficult opponent, Minnesota. Minnesota's a speed team. They want to play at a fast pace. New Hampshire likes to play at a fast pace too, but they can't play that game as well as Minnesota. Minnesota, I think, is the best team in the country at playing an open, nice game. These teams both play on huge sheets at the Mariucci and the Whittemore Center, 100-foot sheets of ice. They're used to playing wide open games.
New Hampshire in the NCAA tournament for the 13th time. Minnesota for the 27th time. That is the all-time record, as is the Gophers' 45 all-time victories. 4 national championships for the Gophers. The first 3 were in the mid and late 70s under Herb Brooks, and then last year dramatic overtime win in St. Paul against the Maine Black Bears. Good forechecking and a takeaway and a centering pass intercepted. Jim Abbott tried to throw it out in front, and the Gophers were there. Swinging wide, Jared Reinholdt. He threw it on net, and Ayers turned it aside. Up quickly to the line was Matt DeMarchi to keep it in. Now it's boxed into the neutral zone, taken back there by Reinholdt. Another snapshot from the sophomore from Ramsey, Minnesota. Minnesota almost entirely comprised of in-state players. There's a shot from DeMarchi, and New Hampshire content to ice the puck. The contrary is true for New Hampshire. They have only 2 New Hampshire natives dressed tonight. There are only 2 players on the Minnesota team who are from outside the borders of the great state of Minnesota, playing for the Gophers tonight.
You know, Sean, when you watch this game and you watch New Hampshire playing, they just have not gotten any kind of flow. They're a transition offense team. They have to do a better job of stopping Minnesota in the center of the ice. Minnesota has been pouring through the center of the ice in the early stages of this game.
Matt Kowalska, the junior, one of the heroes of their national championship victory last year. He scored the game-tying goal in the final minute to force overtime and set up the heroics for Grant Patolny, who scored the national championship winner in OT. There's Troy Riddle, who's had a terrific year. He was the guy who got them back into the game against Michigan on Thursday night. He scored the first Minnesota goal that cut the Wolverine lead to 2-1.
And New Hampshire knows him well. He scored 3 goals in the weekend series earlier this year. You know, it's easier said than done to stop a team in center ice, but New Hampshire had a reputation of being an offensive team. They've changed into a defensive team. So far, their defense in the middle of the ice has not been able to slow down Minnesota Minnesota. They've got to be able to play much better position in the middle to cut down the opportunities for Minnesota. Minnesota clearly has the thought of getting a lot of shots on the airs early. Every chance they have, they're shooting the puck.
Here's Chris Harrington. His dad, John Harrington, on the 1980 U.S. Olympic team, the playoff side. John Harrington played for the Gophers' arch rival, the University of Minnesota Duluth. Was an Olympian in '80 on that great gold-winning team, and then moved into coaching and is now the head coach at St. John's in Collegeville, Minnesota.
He's going to be a good hockey player. Took a couple of penalties in the semifinal game, but they like him very much. And he's a product of the United States Junior Hockey League. But he's a young defenseman. Has got some size, 6'1", 180 pounds, very quick on his skates, and good player.
Off the face-off. Puck snapped into the zone by Matt DeMarchi. Ayers let it go by. Barry Talison played it in the corner to Gino Geyer. And now Grant Patolny, the captain from Grand Forks, North Dakota. One of the two non-Minnesotans in action tonight. The Austrian Vanek, their leading scorer, the other. Primarily homegrown talent, but you could certainly make the case that their two best players are the two non-native Minnesotans. Talison, and a glove save made by Ayers. 8 minutes played, no score, but both goaltenders have been called upon to make tough stops. Another sunny day in Buffalo as the big crowd filed into HSBC Arena. Capacity crowds here on Thursday night. Just a couple of empty seats. You can see that little pocket. That's where the Michigan fan tickets were. And obviously a lot of the Michiganders decided to head home without trying to hand off their tickets to somebody else. All the rest of the seats are filled. And so far an action-packed 8 minutes, no score. Matt Kowalska on the face-off for Minnesota. He did a great job. Won 14 out of 21 face-offs against Michigan. Here's Vanek. He drives it in, and Ayers will drop. Rescue in the forecheck, Riddle and Kowalska. But UNH handles it. And a rink-wide pass. Whistle down for an icing call against UNH. Here's Adrian.
Zdeněk Vanek, Thomas Vanek's father, the 44-year-old from Graz, Austria, made the 20-hour trip to see his son play for only the second time in his college career. I had to talk to this gentleman in the white jersey. He spoke German. I spoke some Danish. It was quite a conversation. He, a former European pro himself, Sean, he now works at the local dairy. He also coaches a high school hockey team. And guess who he's using as a model to teach younger kids how to skate?
Bob Norton.
No, I don't think so.
Well, who, Adrian? Don't leave us hanging.
Adrian, maybe.
None other than his son, Thomas.
Well,
There you go. That's a good idea.
Adrian's report was enhanced by the dramatic pause as well. Give us all time to ponder. But Tom is very excited that his dad is here. He sees his family very little. Thomas Vanek came over to North America when he was 14 years old to play junior hockey. Played in Canada, played in Rochester, New York, and in Sioux Falls. He's fortunate, sees his family once or twice a year. Penalty here, charging the call against UNH. And one of the messages Dick Umile sent his team, we have to stay out of the box. They had the 3-0 lead against Cornell and almost blew it completely because they kept putting the Big Red on the power play.
You see Hemingway there, that it was really an interference as well as being a charge. That's it. Hemingway right along the sideboards picks up the charging call.
I think it's the dark.
New Hampshire gave up 2 power play goals in the 5-5 tie with Minnesota earlier. The one thing, and Hemingway, one of their better shorthanded players, they're already missing their best defensive player, Gare. When Hemingway takes a penalty, it complicates their problem. Their 2 best shorthanded players out of there.
And Minnesota, a very good power play unit at 25% success for the season. That was 5th best in the NCAA, but New Hampshire one of the best penalty killing units as well. Minnesota was only 2 for 13 on the power play in those 2 games against New Hampshire back in October. But these are dramatically different teams since then. Grant Patolny did not play in those 2 games for Minnesota. Ballard from the point, wrists one on. Ayers smothers the rebound. And bodies fly with a minute 18 left on the Golden Gopher power play.
Well, what you have to take care of Troy Riddle in the front. Ballard is very dangerous on the point. He has 41 points on the season, but Riddle is really dangerous inside, as Ayers does a great job of freezing the puck. New Hampshire, a good job of tying up Troy Riddle in front of the net. Riddle, 12 power play goals on the season. The most dangerous of the Gophers in front of the net in that kind of situation. Minnesota's given up 9 goals to the opponent's shorthand. That's one of those real negative stats.
They'll have to be careful up high against this UNH shorthand unit. Patalny up front with Talixon and Geyer on the power play for Minnesota. And a drive from the point, deflected over the net. As Tyler Hirsch, a forward, back at the point. Harrington, the lone defenseman of the power play unit right now for Don Lucia. 50 seconds with a man advantage. Harrington pressured up high by Patrick Foley. Threw it into the lap of the defenseman Nick Mounsey, and now Foley, the team captain for UNH, slid it in. Both teams with junior captains, which says a lot about the leadership skills of Patalny and Foley. Geyer starting to move into the circle. Hirsch crisply back to Harrington, perhaps too crisp, as Chris lost it off his stick.
And that always helps when you pop the puck out of the zone on power play. It gives the shorthand a real lift and a break.
Ayers will give them more of a breather as the power play has 11 seconds remaining.
Thanks. Don't forget to visit the NCAA info
9:14 left in a scoreless first. Mike Ayers, like his team, 10-0-3 in his last 13 games. Both of these teams are red hot. New Hampshire's won 8 in a row, unbeaten in those 13, as Ayers has allowed almost nothing in the 3 NCAA tournament games. Minnesota has won 7 games in a row, and the Gophers 9-0-2 in their last 11. Their last loss was way back on February 22nd in Minnesota Duluth in overtime. New power play group for the final second. Paul Martin looking for a tip, and a shot right on the follow-up action from John Weibel. Anyway, about to come out of the box, and there's a goal right as the power play expires. The flip from the point got through the traffic and went through Michael Ayers. 1 second after the power play had expired, it might be Matt DeMarchi who gets credit for the goal.
Well, DeMarchi has a walk-in to the top of the face-off circle, shoots the puck and goes through a big-time screen. Ayers never sees the puck just inside the far post. DeMarchi, flipper shot, no slap shot, just get it on net through traffic. I don't know if this is tipped. I don't think so. Goes through. Ayers never sees it. Too much traffic in front for Matt DeMarchi. His 8th goal of the season, 5th on the power play.
1 second after the power play had expired, the only senior on the ice for Minnesota has the first goal of the night.
Well, it's not a power play goal. It's his 8th goal of the season. DeMarchi, too much room. He just walked in from the point there to the top of the face-off circle. You can't allow this to happen. Your shorthand in the zone gets lost. You see all the guys inside. I don't think so, but a lot of folks in front. Ayers never had a good look at that, and that's the problem when you put Minnesota on power play. They've got tremendous offensive skill and tremendous offensive performance, and what you end up with is you end up with all of them out there at one time. Now, the end of a power play, Sean, is still like a shorthand, because you haven't got your players back on the ice and haven't gotten them set up. Here's a shot. Let's see, tip inside.
They did give it to DeMarchi.
Yeah, I'd give it to DeMarchi, too.
And Garrett Smogard. DeMarchi had a total of 8 goals entering this season in 3 years. He has 8 now this year. And a prolific scoring season as a senior defenseman. Now the Wildcats trying to generate offense. Steve Saviano couldn't move in part because his stick was being held. And a lot of bodies coming on and off over by the bench area as the puck goes out of the ring. John Force won his historic 100th career victory last year at the Houston Raceway Park. There's a tall task ahead of him this year if he wants to repeat. Tune into ESPN 2 as we bring you all the qualifying early Sunday at 1 a.m. Eastern. The NHRA Powerade Series continues. More information, log on to ESPN.com.
Sean, I'll tell you, Minnesota in the penalty box now. New Hampshire has a chance on power play.
A roughing penalty called against Keith Ballard after the whistle. An opportunity for New Hampshire. And back on it, Paul Martin for the Golden Gophers. UNH has scored a power play goal in all 3 NCAA games. Wins over St. Cloud State, Boston University, and Cornell to get to the national championship game.
They're 11 for 33 in the postseason on power play. They were 24% during the regular season, one of the tops in the country.
Postseason includes the Hockey East tournament, which they won. Face off with 1:28 left on the power play. You look at Paul Martin, the junior from Elk River, Minnesota. He reminds a lot of people of Jordan Leopold, the outstanding defenseman who's here tonight watching his alma mater play. He won the Hobie Baker Award last year and was the top scoring defenseman in the nation. If you compare Martin's numbers in his junior year to Leopold's, they're strikingly similar in a similar style of play.
Martin's an exceptional athlete. Folks in the Minnesota staff talk about him being the best athlete on the team. He's 6th among NCAA defensemen in scoring.
Down on the ice at the moment, Joey Martin on defense with Harrington, and Harrington scales it around and out. Down to 7.5 left in the first period. And a minute left on the New Hampshire power play. Minnesota leads 1-0. And a careless pass as they entered the zone, but then Martin couldn't clear on the first try. Now it's batted out by John Weibel, and he goes off. And they'll change their shorthand unit. Evan Trulson carried into the zone. He's the defenseman for New Hampshire. Fabiano battled, but lost the battle. Played around by Harrington. Kept into the line by Trulson. Now driven out by Harrington. And a potential break opportunity here for Riddle. Riddle trying to cut in. He got taken down in a penalty here against New Hampshire. The speed of Riddle set that one up. He was hooked down in a shorthand bid. So they'll play 4 aside for 24 seconds. And then Minnesota will get another power play.
Minnesota's speed really causing problems for New Hampshire. Minnesota has 7 shorthanded goals. They're very dangerous in shorthanded situations. They get stuck here with a forward back on defense helping out. Justin Akins picks up the hooking call. 6:48 remaining in the period, and New Hampshire is going to be down a man again. This is a very dangerous situation. The entire tempo of this first period has been totally Minnesota, and now they have their second power play advantage. They didn't score a power play goal the last time, but it was the second after the power play has ended, and that's almost like a power play goal.
They still have all their men on the ice.
And they don't have everybody set in position.
And Hemingway into the zone. Senior, he came back after they lost in the Frozen Four last year to win a national championship and graduate. They'll definitely graduate. They can take care of the national championship part tonight. Barry Talixon laid offside here against Minnesota. The range in effect as Talixon is in deep, and now they'll blow the whistle. Power play for Minnesota for 1 minute and 33 seconds. As now it is only Akins in the box for UNH.
Minnesota's power play in the postseason has been about what their power play is in the regular season. They're about 24% effectiveness in the postseason, and they were 25 during the regular season.
Not quite that good in just the NCAA tournament. They scored a lot of goals in the regionals. Not many in the power play. They beat Mercyhurst and Ferris State to get to Buffalo. Scored 9 against Mercyhurst and 7 against Ferris State on their home ice in West Regional at Mariucci Arena. And then beat Michigan here Thursday night. Matt Kowalski, terrific playmaker, right out in front. Great save by Ayers on Riddle. Then Bannock shot it right into Ayers, and another save. The Gophers saying it's in, raising their sticks, and Bannock pointing at a spot on the ice and then losing his balance. But the referee, Piotrowski, had great position and said no goal.
Well, this has been the Michael Ayers show. He's given up 1 goal in the first period, but you just cannot allow Minnesota to have this kind of pressure, both in 5-on-5 situations and now in power play situations. Vanek right to the left of the net, puts one on. Ayers makes a save. Referee right behind the goal line calls no goal. Kowalska feeding it up from outside. Let's watch. Vanek takes it in, but this is in the referee right there, called no goal.
58 seconds left on the power play. Another face-off won by Minnesota. Calixon centers one, and good defensive work by Sean Collins to hold off Geyer on the far post. Now a shorthand bid. Saviano, he got off 2 shots. Basically a 1-on-2 situation. Hirsch lost the puck. Geyer found it. The shot never got to the net. Then Calixon had it deflected wide. Geyer in the corner. Back to the line for a one-timer from Harrington. Blocked out in front of the net by Coulson. Patolny. Off for Geyer. Now Harrington. One over the net. 17 left on the New Hampshire penalty. Gino Geyer. Back of the line. Harrington. A couple of freshmen connecting on that pass. Coulson again. Didn't get it out. Harrington has trouble. And the play whistled down for a hand being closed on the puck by Harrington. More big saves by Mike Ayers to keep New Hampshire within the goal. It's 1-0 Minnesota in the national championship game from Buffalo, New York. First time ever the Frozen Four has been held in Buffalo, and the hosts have done a great job. Sean McDonough, Bob Norton, Adrian Karsten, and that can fill the first period.
Well, I just think that New Hampshire is going to be in big trouble if they keep playing the way they are. They have to take something away from Minnesota offensively, and one of the key ways is you just can't go in the box.
Out of the box now is Aikens, and New Hampshire's back at full strength. 4:44 left in the first period. Goal by DeMarchi. Still stands alone.
Intimidation. Innovation. External, when intimidation meets innovation.
Thousands of New Hampshire fans have made the 8-hour drive to Buffalo. Right now their team down 1-0 against Minnesota in the national championship game. Baseball tonight is your nightly source for Major League Baseball headlines. Reese Davis, Tim Kirkton, and Rob Dibble bring you all the news and exclusive in-progress highlights from Major League Baseball. Baseball tonight in its 14th season. Midnight, weeknights, right here on ESPN. Face off to the left of Mike Ayers, won by New Hampshire. Around it comes to Jim Abbott. The neutral zone. Very little possession of the puck by the Wildcats. It seems like the Gophers have had the puck on their sticks all night.
And right now they're going to come through the middle of the ice, and this is where New Hampshire has to play much better transition positions to try to break them up in the middle and translate that into their own offensive chances.
Now they're struggling just to get the puck into the zone. The Besnick did for a moment. It was knocked down by Joey Martin, and the play whistled down at the line.
But, Johnny, you know, a struggle in the center ice is much better than allowing Minnesota to flow through the center ice. They're out shooting New Hampshire about 16-4 in the first period, and the reason is New Hampshire hasn't been able to compete in the middle of the ice. Minnesota's speed has been too much for them to handle, and they have flowed right through the middle. They've got to create some traffic, even if they don't get clear possession, and just disturb Minnesota's offensive movement through middle ice, or they're going to be in a lot of trouble. This game could get away from them if Minnesota scores the next goal.
Puck shot in from center ice by Paul Martin. And now played back into the offensive end for New Hampshire by Josh Pruden. Preston Callender in deep, as is Pruden. And again, the Gophers handle with relative ease, although the flips never got out of the zone. Played back in deeper by Colin Hemingway. DeMarchi, he has the only goal. Out to the neutral zone for Thomas Vanek. Played back in. The offside waved off as Hemingway cleared. And Martin banks it out, taken back by Garrett Stafford. He's the best offensive defenseman for New Hampshire. A senior from Los Angeles. Puck left for Mick Mounsey. His sister Tara Mounsey played on the 1998 U.S. Women's Olympic Hockey Team and won the gold medal for the great coach Ben Smith over in Nagano. Now Talixon tried to risk one on net and was deflected up out of the rink. 3:07 remaining in the first. Steve Saviano and the New Hampshire Wildcats trailing the defending national champs.
All right. Awesome start. Awesome start. You're looking great out there.
Awesome saves out there.
Guys, first period starts in 5.
To the end of our losing streak.
Back in Buffalo at the national championship game for men's ice hockey in 2003. There's an obviously very nervous Kathy Ayers, the mother of UNH goalie Mike Ayers. She lost her husband and Mike's dad, Frank, in the summer of 2001 to cancer. The Ayers family very close. Mrs. Ayers still makes it to every game home and away. Sometimes she brings the family puppy that gets loose in the arena. I don't think the puppy made the trip to Buffalo tonight.
She does look like a typical goalie's mother, though. She's as nervous as can be.
Probably equally worried about him getting hurt as she is the result of the game.
Well, she'd like a lot fewer shots on her son right now. She'd like it up the other end of it.
Off the face-off. And Patolny control, centered it. Played away from the slot by Sean Collins. Poked up the boards by Kevin Trulson. Now a drive from a tough angle. Went wide off the stick of Collins. And the Gophers clear, and Geyer been able to handle it cleanly. He might have had a chance to turn for 2-on-1. Collins with 21 goals. He's a sophomore from Reading, Massachusetts, just north of Boston. He and his line-mate Saviano both from Reading, Massachusetts. And this will be an icing call. They gave Saviano a very hard time. He had the 2 goals, first career 2-goal game against Cornell. His teammates had started calling him Bledsoe because they're all Patriot fans, and when Drew played in New England, the rap was he could get them down into the red zone, but he couldn't get it in the end zone. And Saviano's reputation, a guy who had a lot of chances but couldn't bury the puck in the net. Well, he got rid of that Bledsoe tag from his teammates the other day.
And leads the team in assists, and you can make an argument that he's been their most valuable offensive performer over the course of the year in terms of consistency.
Here in 2 minutes left in the first period, controlled by Minnesota. If you're a Gopher fan, you might be a little concerned that you got the dramatic edge in play here. Shot 16-5, but yet just the 1 goal. And there's an icing call against Minnesota. The O'Reilly Spring Nationals qualifying as our NHRA Powerade Series continues at 1 a.m. Eastern. That's just after midnight tonight. The final eliminations at 5 p.m. Sunday. ESPN2 will show you that action. For more information, log on to ESPN.com.
Garrett Smogard is in the penalty box. Sean, the last 2 minutes of period, New Hampshire's going to have power play advantage.
See any sign of what the infraction was?
No, I did not.
Didn't see any signal from the referee. It must have been something after the whistle. After the whistle is the call. Hitting after the whistle. Power play for New Hampshire. They're 0 for 1. Their first power play was abbreviated by the Justin Aikens penalty. Down to a minute 37 left in the period. Stafford carried through center. Now Hemingway tried to get around DeMarchi and could not. Fans for UNH thought Abbott was being held as he went after the puck in the corner. Now they'll try to set up the power play. Stafford down low. Missed his intended target. Josh Gruden tried to handle that in his skates. and did not get it.
Yeah, that's not a good play. It's hard enough to get possession in the zone. That time he had a wide open Bruton, and you just couldn't get the puck to him, and you can't miss those chances.
1 minute.
Into the corner after it, Sadiano. Again, the Gophers first there. We're under a minute left in the period.
Now watch.
For all intents and purposes, this power play will last the rest of the period. Only was just 18:01. It will last the rest of it. UNH would like to score on it to have it end. Here's a great chance. And a terrific save made by Weber. Beautiful centering pass by Nathan Marks. Set up the point man. Schulzen's drive blocked. It was Schulzen who had the shot a moment ago. Great passing and a goal. Sean Collins, a power play goal to tie the game for New Hampshire.
This is just great puck movement by the Wildcats, and they set up the right guy for them. Sean Collins to the right side of the screen. 22 power play goals in his career. He's only a sophomore. Nathan March with a beautiful helper on the pass. Collins never going to miss from there. You give him an open net there, he's going to put it away. Pure goal scorer. 21 goals and 8 assists coming in tonight's game. Goal number 22, 10th goal on the power play for Collins. Boy, I tell you, they needed that. Get a little resuscitation in the legs. They were being run out of the rink by Minnesota through the first 3 quarters of this period. A little bit of a turning point when Minnesota had to take a couple of icings, and then they get the power play and end up evening the score 1-1 in a period in which they've been badly outplayed.
1941, the time of the goal by Collins. Sophomore from Reading, Massachusetts. Final 3 seconds of the period. And a big lift for UNH, outplayed throughout most of the period, and they managed to skate off even at 1 goal apiece. DeMarkey for Minnesota, 10:58. Collins from Marks at 19:41 on the power play for New Hampshire, and the shots were 16-7 in favor of Minnesota.
March got himself open and made just a beautiful pass across to Collins, and Collins with the open net, a pure goal scorer. He put that one away, and March red hot in this tournament as well. 2 assists the other night in the semifinal, and there hadn't been a bigger assist all year than that one. Being run out of the rink, they get a goal at the end of the period, well 1-1, a period in which they badly outplayed.
Schulzen will also likely be credited with an assist. Here's Adrian with Dick Umili.
Up until the final 18 seconds of the first period, Coach, you were being outshot 16-5. You needed that one.
Yeah, we needed that one. Obviously, we weathered the storm, and the power play goal is a big goal for us. So hopefully, we come out the second period. We got to get the puck deep. As we're turning it over in the neutral zone. They're coming at us. We got to get it down their zone.
Well-timed, fortunate goal, but you've been playing catch-up since the opening face-off. What do you tell these guys to equalize the pressure down the second period?
Well, right now, just kind of relax, get the puck, keep it simple, get it in their zone, and let's see if we can turn the puck over in their zone, create some shots.
Coach, appreciate your time. You get in the locker room. We'll see you shortly. Huge goal, Sean, when you consider that earlier this year at a season high, New Hampshire had given up a total of 45 goals to guess who? Minnesota.
It's 45 shots.
45 shots.
Yes. 45 goals. Our man Ayers wouldn't have that goals against average of 1.12. 1-1 after 1 in Buffalo.
Minnesota and New Hampshire have played 1. They are tied at 1. Whit Watson in the ESPN studios. Back out to period number 2 of the NCAA Men's Hockey Championship game momentarily. First off, a Stanley Cup playoff update. In 8 previous trips to the Pepsi Center in Denver, the Minnesota Wild had come back empty-handed. They picked a great time to get off that schneid, winning Game 1 of their best-of-7 playoff series. Game 2 this afternoon in Denver. First period was scoreless. Milan Hajduk with a loose puck. A 7-game goal-scoring streak for him as the Avs go up 1-0. Same score. Colorado on the power play, but short-handed. Wes Walls walks in on Patrick Waugh, and that makes it 1-1. Playing 4-on-4, same score. Peter Forsberg to Greg DeVries. Shot and a goal. It's 2-1 Avalanche. Third period, same score. Dan Heino to Brian Wilsey for his first career playoff goal. 3-1 Avs. And the Avalanche able to even the series at 3-2. Walls picking up his second of the playoffs. Hajduk with his second plus an assist. Game 3 at Minnesota on Monday. Detroit down 1-0 in an opening series for the second straight year. Jean-Sebastien Giguère had 63 saves in Game 1. Ducks and Wings, second period. Luc Robitaille off the rebound makes it a 2-1 Detroit lead. Third period, same score. On the backhander, it's Jason Krogh on Curtis Joseph. 2-2 tie. Same score. Steve Thomas with his 51st career postseason goal. Cujo, 5-hole. Giguère only 34 saves needed this time. The Mighty Ducks win it 3-2. Now, last year, the Wings dropped their first 2 games in the series against Vancouver. They came back to win the Stanley Cup for the 3rd time in 6 seasons, so it's not over just yet. Islanders and Senators, Marian Hossa and Vaclav Varada scoring 41 seconds apart. It's 2-0 Senators at the first intermission. Islanders are 22-2 in playoff series after winning the first game, which they did. Gophers got on the board first. The Wildcats came back to tie it. 5 of the last 7 championship games have gone to overtime, so maybe no surprise, the Wildcats and Gophers are tied at 1 apiece.
ESPN's coverage of the men's NCAA Frozen Four is brought to you by Comcast and by Verizon Wireless Free Up. Join in. New Hampshire certainly did not have the edge up until the last 18 seconds of the first period. Outshot, out-hustled by Minnesota, the defending national champion. We're now tied after 20 minutes at 1 each. You know, 18 of the 20 active players on the Minnesota roster were born and raised in the state of Minnesota. That's just pure Minnesota hockey. So when you consider schooling and peewee and elementary and high school hockey tournaments, most of their culture and their sightseeing was done inside the land of 10,000 lakes. Well, now in their college hockey careers, now they can get outside the state and see the United States and see the nation. Well, now here in Buffalo, New York, they got a chance yesterday to go to Niagara Falls. Here's how the Golden Gophers spent their free time at the Frozen Four.
We just got done with a tough practice here, and we're going to go relax and have some fun at Niagara Falls and bond as a team for our last game. You can't go down the falls in a barrel. It's been done by like one guy.
What? No snack bar?
No snack bar.
No snacks?
Well, the snack bar is closed, and picked up some candy bars and a few things. Gonna head over to the falls now because we couldn't get any decent food.
This is amazing. Yeah.
The gorge wall is 180 feet tall. The depth of the water in front of us is also 180 feet deep. Wow. Meaning the gorge is really there's the wind spin. There's happening that rock right there. That's why we got the breeze coming here. We're getting sprinkled on. It's all the weather. 5. Eyewitness weather.
Get those choppers right now.
Come on. Yeah, you guys are Gophers fans?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Watching the finals.
Skin, buddy. You were there?
The dream.
Yeah.
Go Gophers!
Yeah. Yeah. Go,
Another one of those. Yeah. Go UNH!
Yeah. We'll see you guys at the game tomorrow. All right.
They hope to be doing that same kind of celebrating after the next 40 minutes of play. It was quite interesting. I told these guys when they got back last night that Niagara Falls is one of the top honeymoon destinations in the world. They didn't seem quite ready for that. Thought that was somewhat premature. Minnesota scored first, then New Hampshire comes back with 18 seconds to go in the first period. We are tied at 1. Sean and Bob are back with highlights from the first period when we return.
Welcome back to Buffalo in the national championship game in the men's Frozen Four. End of one period, Minnesota leads New Hampshire 1-1. Sean McDonough along with Bob Norton and Coach. Minnesota dominated almost that entire period. They really have to be disappointed to be in this tie situation.
Well, you know, if you could have designed a better period for Minnesota and a worse period for New Hampshire from a play standpoint, you couldn't have designed one. They had the free flow up and down the ice. New Hampshire couldn't stop them, but a penalty late in the period in New Hampshire, I thought they could have been out of the game 3-0 in that first period. They get a power play goal at the end and make it 1-1. They got to be considered very fortunate to be out of here with a 1-1 game. A lot of contact early on. Excellent work along the boards by Minnesota. Minnesota was able to break the puck out, create a lot of pressure on Michael Ayers, and as Michael Ayers has done all season long, he made save after save after save in that first period, and finally they got one through. DeMarchi scored from the point right at the end of a power play, scored the lead goal for Minnesota. Then just a beautiful pass by Martz, just a beautiful move over to Collins, wide open. He doesn't miss those.
Justin Akins moved it in from the point. He and Martz had the assists on the goal by Collins. It was a power play goal. UNH 1 for 2 on the power play. The shot 16-7. Minnesota had the edge in faceoffs. UNH credited with more hits.
You know, Sean, when you talk about this power play goal, the non-power play goal, but it essentially was a goal because of the power play by Minnesota. 1 second beyond the power play, Minnesota scores. Watch what happens here, and it's an example of what happens when you don't get the puck out of the zone. When you have possession and you don't get it out of the zone, puck comes off. Now watch right here, as Callender will come over, he's got to get this puck up off the glass. He doesn't, and DeMarchi stops it at the point. Now watch, there's going to be another point here. See, slap shot, not off the glass. Now watch right here. See, Callender is the man responsible for the point out here. He's way inside. He couldn't clear the puck. Now watch, he's going to race out to the point. Doesn't get there. Too much traffic in front, score. You know, and that's a play where the coaching point there, if you're going to clear the puck to the point and you're out of position off the glass.
See, Matt Ayers, he talks to the net before every period, and he says that actually he's talking to his late dad, Frank, who, as we mentioned, died July of 2001 after a lengthy battle with cancer. Says he asked his dad to help him, and so far it's worked out very well.
I would guess that was an air show in the first period. If New Hampshire should go on to win this hockey game, they can point to this first period once again, where this kid has carried them on his shoulders as he's done all year long and certainly through the playoffs. Second team All-American, but he holds every single season record at New Hampshire after his performance this year.
Both teams at full strength as the second period begins.
Corner, far side, far side.
Roy Riddle for New Hampshire, the first line out for UNH. He's out there with Kowalska and Vanek. That's the fourth shot on goal already for Vanek. Riddle's had 3. And it's 6 of the 16 first period shots. Now the Wildcats with the counterattack. With the puck taken away by DeMarchi. Knocked down by the glove of Hemingway in the neutral zone. And now Vanek. Stops as he tries to cross the line. He's near the end of his shift. Long pass intended for Martz, did not connect. That's Matt DeMarchi back on it. Taken away by Martz, who threw it off the side of the net. Collins missed it for New Hampshire on the far boards. Now a rink-wide pass to Talixon. Talixon tried to center, went off the skate of Truelson. And here's a break for Saviano with Collins and Martz. The centering pass intercepted by Ballard, but then he left it right out in front of the net, and Weber there to alertly poke it away. Here comes Talixon, right into the backboards by Kaplitzky. And slammed up against the boards. And again a break for New Hampshire. 2-on-2 into the zone. Saviano badgered by the good back checking of Ballard. And the puck shot all the way down the ice for an icing call against Minnesota. Let's check in with Adrian Karsten.
Caught Coach Lucia coming out of the locker room, and he said, we just got to be able to take a punch. This is what he told his team. We can out-hustle, we can out-skate them, but take a look at the scoreboard. Actually, the players, Sean, I think, are more disgusted, more angry as they came out of the locker room with letting them score that goal with 18 seconds to go than the head coach was.
Well, they ought to be discussing about taking the penalty. The penalty is the problem, not the goal. The goal was a beautiful goal by New Hampshire, and if you take penalties at this level, when you're playing the Frozen Four final, if you take unnecessary penalties, like hitting after the whistle, Sean, you got to take bad things are going to happen to you.
1-1 the score, just underway. Second period. Here's a great chance for Weibel. He shot it off the blocker of Mike Ayers. Now Brian Yandel, the only freshman on the ice tonight for New Hampshire. He hasn't played very much. Jared Smogard, he assisted on the Minnesota goal. Threw it into the slot, taken there by Michael Lebesnik, and he shot it out of the rink.
Well, that clear by Lubeznik is more what they have to do off the glass. You can't give it to the defense at the point. Boy, they do a nice job here, does Minnesota, of collecting the puck at the point and then getting themselves off a scoring chance. John Weibel, the junior out of Baudette, Minnesota, another one of those national development team players. Mike Eves, now the coach of Wisconsin, coached him in the national development program. And
he's a real character, Weibel. They talk about his room is known as the dungeon. His clothes are always in one big pile. He says he doesn't have enough time to fold churches. Too much of an undertaking. Chance for Minnesota as Ballard threw it in from the point. Sertichin forechecking was tripped. There was no call against New Hampshire. Aikens, and then Weber got run over on the follow-up action. He couldn't glove the puck and freeze it. And then he got drilled. And I believe the penalty is going to be against New Hampshire as Patrick Foley, who's a big, strong guy, ran over the goalie. Foley is 6'1", 220 pounds. He was side by side, it appeared, with a Minnesota player.
Ever since Joey Extra's injury in the Merrimack-Boston College game, they have been calling the penalties on any contact with the goaltender much more tightly than they called it before, and they've called it all season pretty tightly. But since the Extra injury, it's been even tighter than it was before. And in this situation, their determination was that Foley was at fault here, pushing Ballard into the goaltender, and I think that's a good call.
No question. Ballard was skating backwards. Foley just shoved Ballard right back into the goalie. Really a dumb penalty.
Yeah, you can't take it. It's sort of like the hitting after the whistle penalty by Minnesota at the end of the first period. These are the kinds of chances that give Minnesota power play, and New Hampshire's having enough trouble handling Minnesota's speed even up. You don't want to give them an advantage, and unnecessary penalties just are not good.
They almost cost themselves the Cornell game Thursday afternoon with really ill-advised penalties. And of all players, Foley should know better. He's the team captain, a veteran out of the U.S. development program. He spent a year playing in Ann Arbor. One of the 3 junior captains in UNH history. It's just not smart.
No, and you can almost say that 90% or more of every offensive zone penalty is not a good penalty.
Well, the power play out for Minnesota. Paul Martin sent it down low. Kowalska shoots it wide. Patrick caromed off the side of the net. Josh Pruden, he's out killing the penalty with Hemingway, and a penalty here. As Pruden got flattened, and if Foley's penalty was not very smart, this one was equally dumb by Vanek. With the referee, Pietrowski, looking right at him. He just leveled Pruden into the boards of the cross-check.
Well, this is the kind of thing that sabotages Minnesota's chances to get ahead in the game and take advantage of the power play.
Slashed him and then cross-checked.
Yeah, you could call that a variety of penalties. Slash, cross-check, or interference. Take your pick. They chose cross-check.
So it's 4-on-4 for 1 minute and 24 seconds.
So important in these national championship games to not take unnecessary penalties. There's enough things that happen during the game.
Shot from a tough angle, blocked down by Weber. After it's thrown on net by Hemingway. Hemingway and Preston Callender in checking for New Hampshire. Gophers got through that. Gino Geyer couldn't handle the head-manning pass. And Patolny held off along the backboard. Wildcats stymied on the breakout as Lubeznik was forced back. Lubeznik's a junior from Northbrook, Illinois. Excellent plus-minus ratio. Lubeznik plus 22 for the year.
And he doesn't score many goals. That makes that plus 22 even more impressive.
Jed Stevens plays it into the zone for Riddle. Riddle took it to the backhand, but got knocked down just as he went for the shot by Lubeznik. And Lubeznik there to play to the near boards. In 27 seconds, New Hampshire will be on the power play. They'll have the man advantage for 37 seconds. Lubeznik forced back behind the net by Jared Reinholz. Reinholz had an injury-plagued season, a fractured jaw and a shoulder injury cost him 10 games. Weibel knocked down Collins. Out of the box comes Foley just as Ayers knocks down the long shot from the point. New Hampshire on the power play. Chance to take its first lead of the night. Collins a sloppy lead up high, intercepted by Weibel, and he lost control. And Saviano turned it right back over. UNH can't establish anything with this brief man advantage. Weibel trying to sneak in behind to the play offside.
Well, you made a good point, Sean, on that drop pass that Collins made. It's very difficult to make a drop pass close to your own blue line or unless you drive the defenseman deep into the zone. He didn't. He made a pass close to his own blue line, and he didn't make any effort to drive the defenseman in, so there was no space to make the pass. Popped right out of the zone. Those kinds of things can end up coming right back at you.
.05 left, second period, 1-1 the score. Both goals in the first period. Matt DeMarchi for Minnesota. John Collins for New Hampshire. Barry Callison shot it high and wide. 5 seconds. Both teams will be at full strength. Out of the box comes Vanek. And the puck snapped into the zone by Tim Horst. Horst, one of the heroes of their win over Cornell. He scored the first New Hampshire goal. First goal of the game. And tried to drive it. It was deflected harmlessly into the corner. Picked up by Tyson Teplitsky. Now Tyler Scott is the fourth line on for New Hampshire. Bouncer handled by Travis Weber. And the long pass was not handled by Tyler Hirsch. Off his stick, no icing. Besnick up the boards. For Patrick Foley. Akins and Abbott going into zone offensively for UNH. With Joey Martin there to start the counterattack. Reinhold pinned up against the board. Lead puck. Surdich. A shot on. Turned aside by Ayers. Surdich is being harassed, but still managed to put it on net.
Watch from behind. Watch from behind.
Surdich back after it in the corner. He goes down. The Wildcats come away with it. A chance to break out. Rink wide pass for Abbott. But a nice defensive play by Joey Martin. Now here's Hirsch. Almost stepped right around Teplitsky. Besnick went into the corner with Hirsch. He has a man behind the net. Vanek. Side of the net to Hirsch. Puck poked out by Vanek. Over for the far side, intended for Hirsch. Hirsch needs to go off, and he does. Vanek steps to the goal line, shot it wide. Riddle just on. Dodged a broken stick that lies as debris in the face-off circle. Riddle still in possession of the puck. Behind the net it goes. Walking out in front, and the save made by Ayers on Vanek. He stepped right out in front from behind the net. And Michael Ayers, as expected, the scoring for New Hampshire. 13:02 left in the second. New Hampshire and Minnesota tied at 1. One of the great traditions of Minnesota hockey, the cheerleaders trying to fire up the Golden Gopher fans here in Buffalo. 1-1 the score, 13:02 left in the second period. Steve Petrowski, the referee, wearing referee cam for us again tonight. Steve's from Troy, Michigan, one of the best in the nation. You know he is. This is his 4th national championship game as a referee.
Officiating crew from the CCHA tonight.
And there's a look at helmet cam. Apparently he's looking straight down for the moment. That our camera is not quite pointed in the same direction as
He's
Steve.
looking at the ice. He is. He's looking
straight down. We can see him from here. He'll probably look up when they drop the puck. He has a very unique officiating style. Senses the penalties through osmosis. There he is, focused in on the puck. This is in the neutral zone. One banked into the zone. Hemingway in after it. Allard back first for Minnesota. Golden Gophers looking for their 5th national championship. Puck out of the rink. Michigan has won 9 titles. North Dakota has 7. Should Minnesota win their 5th tonight, they'd be tied with Wisconsin and Denver for 3rd on the most NCAA hockey championships won list.
Sean, that play that Hemingway just made in center ice is something they had a great deal of trouble with in the first period. They didn't have good center zone position, therefore they had no center zone defense. That time Hemingway in good position intercepted the pass, broke up the rush, and knocked it out of the got a face-off.
Minnesota out shooting New Hampshire 21-9. It's still a 1-1 game. Nearly midway through the game. 12 and a half left in the second. Sean McDonough, Bob Norton, and Adrian Karsten in Buffalo, New York. The Frozen Four, the men's ice hockey national championship game. Steve Saviano got it into the zone. Martz went after the puck, and he got tangled up with Troy Riddle. Back come the Gophers. Vanek looked a little tired as he went after that free puck in the neutral zone. And he'll head off.
New Hampshire's changed their forecheck a little bit. They like to go two-man forecheck and couldn't get on Minnesota in the first period. The lines that I've seen come out in this period so far, mostly all one man.
Here's a chance for Collins cutting in, and Weber made the stop. Minnesota got a little confused in the transition to defense, and UNH almost capitalized. Jake Fleming working along the near boards. It came out to Martin, batted down by Kevin Trulson to his teammate. The hand pass and a face-off in the neutral zone. When we come back, 11:37 left in the second. UNH and Minnesota tied at 1 as they play for college hockey's national championship. The great coach. Here's the power play. It's fired. Open by the Wildcats. And welcome back to the Frozen Four in the College Hockey National Championship games in Division I for 2003. New Hampshire in its second trip ever to the National Championship game. They lost a heartbreaker in 1999 to the University of Maine in overtime in Anaheim, California. Most observers felt they outplayed the Maine Black Bears on that night.
Well, if you're a New Hampshire fan, it's tough to lose in the national championship, but it's much worse when you lose to Maine.
They're neighbors in New England, Hockey East rivals, and one of the outstanding college hockey programs as well. Game's at full strength, 11.5 minutes left in the second period. Both goals in the first period. Matt DeMarchi for Minnesota, and then Sean Collins on the power play tied it for New Hampshire. Icing the call against UNH. Late nights at midnight, and immediately following us tonight, it'll be a little earlier than usual, perhaps, with the history of overtime games in the national championship game. You never know. Baseball tonight. Reese Davis, Tim Kirchin, and Rob Dibble with all the news and highlights. That's right after the game here on ESPN tonight. We are both devoted baseball fans. We'll be racing back to the hotel to watch. Tim Horst for New Hampshire. Played it back in behind the net. And lines up on the stick of Joey Martin. Martin played junior hockey in the United States Hockey League for the Omaha Lancers. Mike Hastings, a terrific coach. There are 4 Minnesota Golden Gophers on the ice that played for Coach Hastings in Omaha, including Martin. Judd Stevens up ahead, did not connect with Hirsch. Here's Aikens with the play offside. The puck bounced a couple of times right along the line, and Jim Abbott was a little too anxious.
Sean, you know, once again, one-man forecheck with that fourth line, and Minnesota had trouble getting the puck out of the zone. They're just trying to let them make the first pass, cover on the wing boards, and break the pass up in center ice, turn it back through the middle of the ice. They had difficulty in the first period with a two-man forecheck trying to get on Minnesota, and Minnesota just broke right out against them. This is giving them, as it does right there, a little more counterattack opportunity to get some offense going.
Face off won by Aikens, back to Yandel, and driven in by Lubeznik. And first on it, Harrington for Minnesota. Taken away by Lubeznik. Foley a shot right on. The rebound stopped as well. Abbott denied right at the top of the crease by Weber. And the puck flipped into the right wing corner by Geyer. He went after with it along with Kaplitsky. And Foley left it for Yandel. He was being checked by Talixon. Abbott would have been onside, but the puck popped over his stick. He goes down behind the net. Aikens in deep. And Geyer swings it around for Patulny. Patulny managed to chip it out, and back after this Garrett Stafford. He missed the first half of the season for academic reasons. And a prolific second half. The crowd didn't like the icing call against New Hampshire.
Travis Weber has played very, very well for Minnesota, and he's played well tonight as the second period has gone on. New Hampshire's been able to generate more chances through traffic. Solid there with the save. That's what he's done a good job of, is to be able to handle the initial shot, and then he handles Abbott there on the rebound. I think that's New Hampshire's best chance of the period.
12 saves. His counterpart Ayers has made 20. Boy, that replay from referee cam makes you feel like you're out there skating yourself.
And the shots on goal settled down a little bit second period, though. Pretty even.
5-5, as a matter of fact.
That's even.
That is indeed. Weber and DeMarchi. Hemingway is in there badgering DeMarchi. Now Hemingway shot off the glove of Weber and wide. Preston Callender couldn't handle it behind the net. Hemingway again goes into the boards. Now Paul Martin and Hemingway, two of the best players in the country. Back it comes to the point. Down low, deflection, and a great save by Weber. Josh Pruden tipped it right on net, and Weber flashed out the right leg after Stafford put it right on the stick of Pruden. Great opportunity for New Hampshire. Here's Pruden flipping it in high and wide. They had a chance for a 3-on-2, but Hemingway went off exhausted at the end of that shift.
Yeah, they had much fuel in the tank with those three guys up front. They had to make a line change.
Puck whiffed on and then gathered back in by Truelson. Played into the zone, but not very deep by Martz. Back out to center, gloved away again by Truelson. And now a chance for Kowalska. Nifty stick handling through Teplitsky. He threw it to the side of the net. Here's Vanek, a blooming presence. Vanek still stick handling all the way out to the point. Finally passes it off for Harrington. Riddle and Kowalska go into the corner for Minnesota. 8:15 left in the second. A 1-1 game. Collins ends it high for Saviano. Ballard's there with Saviano. They crash into the board. Martz in to help. Harrington there for the Gophers. Out it comes to Kowalska. And Kowalska played it off for Vanek. His shot sticked aside by Ayers. Riddle sends it around the far corner. Kowalska goes off. And the puck cleared to center by UNH. Back comes Riddle to play offside. 7:43 remaining in the second period. The College Hockey National Championship game from Buffalo. Still tied at 1.
Intimidation. Innovation. External. When intimidation meets innovation.
Game more than midway through regulation time in the national championship from Buffalo, New York. We hope you'll join ABC Sports Sunday as the IRL IndyCar Series makes its first trip to Japan. Teams Penske, Ganassi, Andretti, Green, and Panther all look to gain momentum in the final race before the Indianapolis 500. Don't miss the Firestone Indy Japan 300 Sunday at 1 Eastern, 3 Pacific on ABC. Tyler Scott, Jared Reinholtz on the faceoff, won by Scott of New Hampshire. He deflects the puck into the zone. First after it, the sophomore Judd Stevens. And Joey Martin left it for Reinholtz. He threw it right in. Reinholtz is a transfer from the University of Minnesota Duluth. In Minnesota, I guess that's like going from the Hatfield to the McCoys. They are arch rival. Turnaround shot by Hirsch. Turned aside easily by Ayers. 7-7 the shots in this period after Minnesota dominated the first. Hirsch finds some room. Hirsch carried it too long. Scott took it away after Yandel did a lot of the work to pester Hirsch. At center ice. Hirsch touched it off and it went to Mounsey of New Hampshire. Backhanded in by Aiken. Foley in after. He puts a hit on Judd Stevens. Foley poked it for Abbott. Now it's played back by Martin, but not out. Here's a chance for Abbott, and he shot it over the net. When we talked with Dick Umili about Abbott, he said he might have the hardest shot in all of college hockey. Abbott lost control of it up high. That can be a danger spot. Stevens shoots it into the zone. Weibel there for Minnesota, but looking for help. It made in the midst of a line change. Stafford decided not to go behind the net with the Gophers oncoming. Stafford lost it as he crossed the line. And it's backhanded in by Garrett Smagard. Fleming got right out to the front of the net. Ayers able to smother the puck before the net was dislodged with 5:52 left in the second period. Mrs. Ayers looking on. Sees herself on the big replay screen.
That's what happens when you have those cell phones. They tell you at home when you're on.
She could also see herself on the arena video replay machine.
They also told everybody in the row. She looks a little bit more relaxed in that picture than we saw her earlier.
Face off to her son's left. Controlled by Minnesota. The flip from the point from Paul Martin goes high and wide. Colin Hemingway couldn't move it out. Kaplinski in there to try to help him. And the Wildcats break 3-on-2 for the moment. Pass dumped back. Actually poked by a Gopher on net. Gopher was back checking. I believe it was DeMarchi. Now Paul Martin. Up the middle, a nice pass to Talixon. He's a sophomore from St. Paul. Talixon, a rare combination of size, speed, and skill, according to Coach Lucia. A little bit of a disappointing year, although injuries have been a factor for Barry. He went 23 games without a goal earlier this season. He scored 7 in the last 13 for Coach Lucia.
Well, he's had 19 points in his last 13 games, so he's been hot.
That's what they're trying to accomplish. The first team since the great Boston University teams in the early 70s to win back-to-back Division I ice hockey titles. And a 5th number to that banner. UNH trying to win its first ever national title. Just the second in any sport for their school to add one to the Women's Lacrosse Championship in the mid-80s. Fabiano with some room. Put the brakes on and took a shot that got blocked into the corner. Blocked by Keith Ballard. Riddle crisply off. Defenseman Ballard was leading the rush. Then he decided I'd better just throw it in the corner and get back to my spot. Kowalska threw it into the circle. It went off the skate. Comes to the near side to Collins. And a sloppy turnover as he gave it back to Ballard. Kowalska lays it ahead for Riddle. Riddle out in front, and a great save by Ayers on a one-timer by Kowalska. Terrific play by Kowalska to put it right on net and against the body momentum of Ayers, and Ayers sliding toward his right, still able to flash out the glove back to the left.
Well, it's the first time this period that New Hampshire's made a sloppy turnover in center ice, and they almost paid for it as Kowalska, who's a dangerous sniper on the inside, gets a redirect off that pass from Barry Talixon. But, John, you hit the nail on the head there. Collins careless with the puck in the middle, and you see how long it takes Minnesota to turn that around.
They're still tied at 1. Right there's the story. Here's a great chance all alone in front. Weibel stopped by Ayers. Then Ayers gets run over, and the net's loose. And apparently, the Gopher who knocked him over got knocked in because we saw the referee earlier call a penalty against New Hampshire for running Weber. There's a penalty call here, and it's going to go against New Hampshire for interference. Apparently Fleming got knocked into the goalie while being interfered with. And the penalty is on Brian Yandel of UNH.
Not a bad penalty here. This is one of those almost outs. Puck's almost out. New Hampshire way outside the zone. No one back on the inside to play any kind of defense. That's a lot of trouble as Minnesota's Weibel is alone in front. Not a bad penalty there. You can't let him keep banging away. But
did you see what Yandel did, though?
No, it didn't look like he did much, but they end up taking a penalty. Interference. That's what Dickie Millie was upset with. Well, that was a bad breakdown. That was a great opportunity for Weibel in front as New Hampshire left the zone thinking they got it out.
Flip from the point up high, knocked down off the shoulder of Ayers. Power play for Minnesota. They're 0 for 3 with the man advantage tonight. Martin with under 4 minutes left in the second period in a 1-1 game. Dyer, who certainly has not played like a freshman in these two games. Centering pass, and Colney's shot deflected wide. Saviano after it, trying to break in shorthanded, and Martin shifted away. And then contact after the whistle. Hirsch went down. Saviano was there as well. Apparently the whistle was from offside.
Well, I didn't see the offside call. It looked like Saviano had the puck all the way. There's no one else there. Saviano fits the category as a hockey player, just a straight-out flat pest. Hirsch goes into the boards, but that was just mutual contact in the wall. Saviano, the only one there, can't figure out the icing call. Wouldn't anybody else be offside? Or the offside call, rather.
Yeah. Off the draw, room for Vanek. This shot stopped by Ayers. Rebound cleared to the point, but not out. Ballard across for Martin. 3.5 left in the period. 1:10 on the power play. Kowalska, he's a great passer. Ballard shot it wide. Kowalska along the board. Got it off to Riddle. First line out there for Minnesota. Kowalska, Riddle, and Vanek. The puck sent the length of the ice, and New Hampshire changes its shorthand unit with 47 seconds still to kill. Puck flipped in from the red line by Martin. Ayers left it behind the net. Puck cleared out, knocked down by Ballard's high stick, but after Hemingway touched it, they waved off the delay. Martin took it back when Hemingway fell down. 27 seconds on the power play. Riddle lost it outside the line. They'll have to regroup. Martin indirect off the boards. Vanek played it off nicely for Geyer, trying to cut in. And in front, another great save. Riddle robbed by Ayers. Michael Ayers in the national semifinals last year led in 7 goals in a loss to their arch rival Maine, and heard a lot about it all off season, and including right here from the media at the Final Four. I think he has definitely eliminated that memory from the fans of minds of the Wildcat fans, Bob, of what he's done tonight.
Well, you know, I think it's been unfair anyway. The team played badly in the third period. He's carried them all year, and he's certainly carrying them tonight.
They're back at full strength. Here's Pallickson, rubbed into the boards by Mounsey. Now to Plitsky for New Hampshire. Around the boards to Nathan Martz. He's a junior from Chilliwack, British Columbia. Back in his own zone, Mounsey. Set it off the boards and out. Carried back in by DeMarchi. A backhand by Pallickson. Cleared away with 1.5 minutes left in the period. Second period action from Buffalo. UNH and Minnesota tied at 1, and a penalty coming up here for that pushing and shoving. Collins got tangled up, and a holding call's going against Judge Stevens of Minnesota. New Hampshire going to the power play and still tied for one reason. Number 34. Nearing the end of the second period in college hockey's national championship game, New Hampshire and Minnesota tied at 1. Immediately following us tonight and every weeknight at midnight, Baseball Tonight, your nightly source for Major League Baseball headlines. Tonight, Reese Davis, Tim Kirchin, and Rob Dibble are standing by to bring you all the news. Exclusive in-progress highlights for Major League Baseball. That's Baseball Tonight, right after the game here on ESPN.
penalty against Minnesota, and Judge Stevens, obstruction holding. The sophomore came here as a pure freshman right out of Wayzata, Minnesota, Wayzata High School.
1 for 3 UNH on the power play tonight.
You always like him at the end of the period, though.
Scored on the power play in the final seconds of the first period. Shot from the point. Stopped by Weber as Jim Abbott. The forward we mentioned his hard shot. That was just kind of a quick snapper, but still plenty on it. He goes back and plays the point from time to time with the power play.
I'll tell you, Minnesota does a good job getting in the inside and making sure that no one gets a chance at handling the rebound. Weber having a little trouble on occasion on the first shot. He's been a little bobbly on occasion, and that's why New Hampshire, I think, trying to get some shots on him and see if they get the rebound. That time, he controlled it, didn't drop it.
4 previous national championships, it has always been a senior in goal for Minnesota, including Adam Hauser last year. Weber trying to become the first non-senior to backstop them to the national championship. He's a sophomore from Hibbing, Minnesota. Under a minute left in the period. 1.5 left on the UNH power play. Calendar for Stafford. Now Abbott to Hemingway. Pass back to the point was deflected. Abbott had a dive for it.
And they love to hit Hemingway on that left face-off circle, and Minnesota's doing a superb job of denying the pass to Hemingway on the left dot.
Time for one last foray for New Hampshire on the power play. 21 seconds left in the period as it's shot in by Abbott. Stafford first there, up from the point. Behind the net for Collins. He just threw it up the side of the net. A couple of whiffs on clearing attempts. And then a whiff at the point by Stafford. And here's a break opportunity for Talixon. And he hit the post. Beat Ayers in the final few seconds of the period, but it hit the post. And that's the end of the period. A great shorthand bid for Barry Talixon. Hit the pipe.
Well, every goaltender needs a friend, and Michael Ayers, who's been superb, has a friend right there. The right pipe as you look at it. Talixon. Oh, me, oh, my. A clanger.
Hit it with 5.6 seconds left. Wow.
Oh, boy.
Here's Adrian with Minnesota coach Don Lucia.
Golden Gophers dominated the first period. You're still out shooting them 30-16. But a much more even game. You're still tied at 1, Coach.
Well, it's a type of game we expected. 1-1 going into the third period. It's the way it seems all these national titles go. Our kids are playing, though. That's what I'm happy about. Every line's playing. All of our guys are having good games so far.
Very physical, but what do you have to do to get one past Ayers?
Well, I think anytime you got a goaltender that's hot like he is, you got to get some traffic in front, tips, rebounds, screens, just like we scored the first goal.
Coach, we appreciate it. You said it's harder to repeat than it is to win the very first time. We'll see it shortly for the final 20 minutes. Sean, final thought as we go into the third period. Thomas Vanek leads the team in scoring with 30. Over half of those have come either in the third period or in overtime. Sean?
Including the game Thursday, he scored his overtime game winner as Minnesota eliminated Michigan. Heading for the third period, tied at 1.
ESPN's coverage of the men's NCAA Frozen Four is brought to you by Pontiac, official performance machines of the NCAA. And by Coca-Cola. Let's make it real.
2 periods gone by as Minnesota attempts to win a second straight NCAA championship and 5th overall. New Hampshire has never won the title. Whit Watson back in the ESPN studios. Quick Stanley Cup playoff update. Prior to Game 1 of the Islanders-Senators series, New York coach Peter Laviolette said he thought he had the better team. Luckily for him, his team backed him up in Game 1, the Isles' first win in a series opener since 1993. Game 2 on the docket tonight. Isles sends scoreless in the first. Brian Smolinski to Marian Hossa for the goal. Well, I need to see that again. It's a superb centering pass, and Hossa gets the stick on it. Just like that, bang, 1-0. Same score. Havlat shoots. The rebound followed up by Vaclav Varada. Watch this one again, right through the 5-hole of Garth Snow. It's 2-0 Ottawa. The Sens got booed during Game 1. The fans a little bit happier tonight. In the second, it's 2-0 Ottawa still, and Hossa adding another on a 2-man advantage for 5-on-3. and you'll get some things done. Sens and Isles now 3-0. They are in the second, winding down towards intermission. The series will move to Long Island on Monday for Game 3. The Sens trying to even this thing at a game apiece. The Caps and the Lightning. Caps lost the division but came back to win Game 1 of the series. Jaromir Jagr, first playoff goal as a Capital, makes it 1-0. Same score, Peter Bondra, short side, looking for Nikolai Khabibulin's blind spot, and he found it. 2-0 Washington. Later in the first, 2-1, Jagr, Rister, his second of the game. It's coming. Wait for it. 3-1 Washington. Now 4-2 in the third. Peter Bondra. He will pick up his second of the game. It's a romp. 5-2 Caps. The Lightning, of course, the division winners. 6-3 is the final. Washington has won 17 game ones. They've won the series just 7 times when they do that. Well, Michael Ayers got some help in the second from the crossbar. He could use some offense from his teammates. 1-1 tie, back for the third. It's the NCAA championship game.
Whether they've come from the Midwest or from New England here to Buffalo, New York, they're seeing classic college hockey here at the 2003 National Championship game. Minnesota won, New Hampshire won. You know, we came here in our ESPN production truck with a total of 18 cameras. Yesterday, we found ourselves in a unique opportunity, actually, to hand off one of the cameras to a college hockey player from New Hampshire. This is the Wildcat cam, as we're about to become so. You take the next 90 seconds, then tell me, is this young man a better college hockey player or network television cameraman?
Fight in the morning or something. They get kicked out.
Good, boys. Looking good. Say something. Yeah, that's better. It's getting pretty dramatic over here.
Who is this kid in there?
And the University of New Hampshire Wildcats.
Truziak, you kind of look like Ogie Ogator right at a slap shot.
Spring break. How's your spring break going?
That's good. Awesome. Real good.
Yeah?
It's real warm here.
How's the bikini contest? Did you win, huh?
Didn't won at first place.
Nice job, Luigi. Nice job.
Stevie, coming off a big 2-goal performance the other night. What do you think? Think peanut M&Ms have a lot to do with it?
Probably not, no.
Probably not?
I wish they did. I'd score a lot more goals.
Garrett, what would you say is the best part of Niagara Falls?
Best part is just, you know, seeing the falls, pretty much just realizing how powerful Mother Nature is. It's a pretty awesome experience. Just watching the water go over, you know, so much going over at one time. It just kind of really humbles you more than anything.
Very genuine young man. You know what? We may have a job for Lanny Gare, who led the New Hampshire Wildcats in scoring this year, but could not play tonight because of an injured shoulder. I'm guessing, though, that camera's not on top of his injured shoulder. We are tied. Minnesota 1, New Hampshire 1. Sean and Bob will be back shortly with highlights from the second period as we go into the final 20.
We're back in Buffalo and getting ready for the third period. You can feel the tension in the crowd. Very little noise during this intermission. New Hampshire and Minnesota tied at 1, perhaps one of them 20 minutes away from winning the national championship. We say perhaps because this event has a history of going into overtime. And it's only 1-1 because of the remarkable play of the UNH goaltender, Mike Ayers.
Yeah, sure. As I said going into the game, I didn't think he could have a 44-save performance and beat Minnesota as he did in Durham 3-1, but he's on his way to another 44-save performance with 29 through 2 periods. He has played just superbly. Travis Weber has been strong in the nets for Minnesota, but Ayers has had innumerable opportunities to make huge saves, and he's made them all. Vanek and all the top-line players at Minnesota, all have had chances inside. Kowalska. Now coming to the inside, Weibel. Weibel again. He's going to have chance after chance, and he's been equal to the task. And here's one where he gets some help. Barry Tallickson works it away from Garrett Stafford. I don't think I've ever heard a louder clanger in my life. Off the post is Tallickson. That could have made it 2-1, but the post helps. 1-1.
Almost twice as many shots for Minnesota. They've outshot the Wildcats 30-16. Almost twice as many scoring chances as well. The only power play goal in this game was the New Hampshire goal. in the first period by Sean Collins. He joined us late at the marquee of Minnesota, scored at 10:58 of the first, an even strength goal right after a power play had ended for Minnesota. And Sean Collins on the power play scored the game-tying goal for UNH.
John, I'll tell you, Minnesota, New Hampshire had no chance of winning if the tempo of the first period was played. The second period was much more even. If they can keep that kind of style going and that kind of play going, they're going to be in the hunt. If this reverts back to a first period kind of game, it's going to be all Minnesota.
The shots were more even in the second period, 14-9, the Minnesota advantage. Puck out of the rink, face off in the neutral zone, 19 seconds in. New Hampshire is on the power play. Judge Stevens is serving the remaining 20 seconds on his penalty for holding. Taken late in the second period. Face off won by Jake Fleming of Minnesota, but then the puck got turned over quickly to New Hampshire. And it's Garrett Stafford back in his own zone. Cross to Jim Abbott. Long drive into the corner. 5 seconds. Stevens will be out of the box. Hemingway couldn't control it. Back to the line. Stafford did. Stevens is back on. Puck deflected by Hemingway. Never got to the net. Here's the defenseman. Stevens just out of the box, leading the rush. Judge Stevens a drive off the side of the net. Tipped back toward the goal mouth by Jake Fleming and played out by Nathan Marks. They had too many men on the ice, Minnesota, and got away with it. You hear the New Hampshire bench yelling too many, and they were right. Played ahead by Mick Mounsey and out of the zone. Mounsey again. He goes down with Troy Riddle looking to counterattack UNH. Got from a tough angle. Went wide. Saviano. At the line, picked up by Vanek. He's had 7 shots on goal. Vanek cuts in, gets forced behind the net by 2 sliding defensemen. The last was Trulson who made the biggest play. Got back in by Saviano. And New Hampshire looks to change up. Collins stays on, but whiffs on him along the far boards. Kowalska tried to send Riddle away. Puck played back in by Justin Aiken. Sophomore from South Surrey, British Columbia. Now Ballard. Pestered behind the net by Aiken. Chris Harrington played it off to Grant Potulny. Kowalska tried to feed it back. It was deflected. Then Harrington stopped the clear in. And it's Ballard back on it. Ballard just a sophomore. Kowalska. More than 2 minutes gone by in the third. Still tied at 1. Potulny into the corner with Yandel. Here's Talixon with the post in the final seconds of the second period. Dino Geyer ridden up against the glass by Tim Horst, and it's deflected out. And then a nice cross ice pass made by Robbie Barker. Barker had it back with the play. Offside. Patrick Foley in ahead. Here's Adrian.
Dick Umile to his team during the second period. We got a street fight. That's all there is to it. We're not just happy to be here. You have to play like you expect to win. That's what he told his team. He told me in the hallway the one thing that concerns him is Minnesota's offensive staying power, because he knows they've been here before with their backs to the wall. But he said, we're the reason. We're the type of team where guys don't repeat after 4 minutes.
All right, Adrian, thank you. Talk about great coaching jobs done in college hockey in the last 2 decades. Dick Umile took over a UNH program that was at the bottom of the heap, not just in Hockey East, but nationally. In 1985-86, the Wildcats won a total of 5 games. Now here's Umile in his 13th season. Back in the Frozen Four for the 4th time in 6 years. They've won 28 games this year. He led them to the school record 31 wins in 1999 when they lost in the national championship game. One of the most popular people, too, as you well know, Bob, in coaching. When we talked with Don Lucia the other day, he said before the semifinals, if we don't win it, I'd probably like to see UNH win it because Dick Umile is such a great guy.
Comes from a hockey family. His brother Jim was an outstanding player at Providence.
Tyler Scott up the board for New Hampshire. And it's cleared out into the penalty box. That'll bring the face-off back into the New Hampshire zone. More than 3 minutes into the third. New Hampshire and Minnesota tied at 1 as the Wildcats look for their elusive first national championship in their second trip to the title game.
You know, part of last year's semifinal, we talked about that loss in '99. Part of the reason that all the second guessing of theirs and the bad third period was the opponent was Maine again. You know, I mean, they haven't been able to get Maine off their backs. You know, and now well, the nice thing about this is they're at least playing a different team here. It's Minnesota, great opponent.
One good omen concerning the opponent for Minnesota, the fact that they eliminated Michigan. The last 2 years when Michigan lost in the semifinals, the team that ousted them won the national title. Hemingway had his shot blocked. In 2001, Boston College beat Michigan and Albany in the semifinals, went on to win the national championship against North Dakota in overtime. Last year, Minnesota defeated Michigan in the national semis, then beat Maine in overtime to win the NCAA title.
Ayers takes a face-off, just didn't like the way everything was regrouping. Got to take a little time out and get a face-off to his right. I don't think you can overstate the great respect the two coaches have for each other. Sean. Donnie Lucia and Dick Umili are very close personal friends. They like and respect each other as coaches, and they personally like and respect each other. They come from similar backgrounds. Both of them, Donnie Lucia's dad was a coach, high school football player. Dick Umili, an outstanding high school football player. Very, very similar.
And most importantly, both terrific human beings, very well liked within their profession, and understandably so. Battle for possession in the corner. More than 4 minutes played in the third now. Backhander just wide of Michael Ayers. Puck went out of the zone and then was sent back in by Smogard. He had the chance after he walked out toward the front and backhanded one wide. 15:38 remaining in Buffalo. UNH and Minnesota tied at 1 in the national championship game.
ESPN's coverage of the men's NCAA Frozen Four is brought to you by Singular, the wireless company that fits you best.
Done with Bob Norton and Adrian Karsten in Buffalo, New York. College hockey's national championship game. New Hampshire and Minnesota tied at 1.
Yeah, great game so far. By the way, Sean, got a second here. I'd like to congratulate Sam Paolini of Cornell, the winner of the National Humanitarian Award for his extraordinary service in the city of Ithaca and for the Cornell program. Comes from a wonderful family. Dad, long time Utah coach in the city of Rochester, and a wonderful recipient of the great award.
And a big part of that terrific Cornell team. Many thought was the favorite here at the Frozen Four, but was eliminated by New Hampshire on Thursday afternoon. Nearly 5 minutes played in the third. And you start to sense, Bob, that the pace is slowing to where neither team wants to make what could be a fatal mistake.
Well, New Hampshire benefits by a slower pace, as we saw in the first period. Let Minnesota fly, they're in trouble.
Tully back to the line. Martin threw a screen. That deflected wide. Ayers reacted late. Here's Patrick Foley, the Wildcat captain. Played it to the line. Foley charges the net. Looks to tip, and it goes wide as Abbott threw it toward the net. Back at the line. Mounsey sent it toward the goal. It hit traffic out in front, and here's Barry Talixon. Really thinking for a long time about that post he hit in the last 5.5 seconds of the second period. Alexson, a second-round draft choice of the New Jersey Devils. Harrington lays it out of his own end indirectly. Here's a break for Sertic on his forehand. And the shot blocked down by Ayers. In the corner, Riddle. Riddle's been everywhere in these two games for Minnesota in the Frozen Four.
That's the best kind of clear out of the zone right there. A little wrist flip clear out of the zone by Stafford. Nobody's going to knock that one down.
Riddle deflected the long pass up in the air, then couldn't gather it back in. Harrington and Calendar plumb. And it's Pruden shooting it into the Minnesota bench. Neither team has scored since the first period in the men's Frozen Four national championship game from Buffalo, New York. Sean McDonough, Bob Norton, and Adrian Karsten. Matt DeMarchi scored in the first period to give Minnesota a 1-0 lead. Sean Collins tied it late in the period on a power play, the only power play goal in this game. Each team's had 4 chances, and Minnesota has had a decided edge in shots on goal. New Hampshire has not had a shot on Travis Weber in this third period. Minnesota's had only one shot on goal, so we talked about the cautious nature of the play. Certainly a shot would indicate that they're being very careful with the puck.
Well, they saw Minnesota flip clear through center ice. Both teams have established good center zone defense, forcing the other team to be very cautious with the puck. No one wants a center zone turnover and counterattack back the other way. No one wants to take a penalty right now, because this is the kind of game where a power play situation late in the game could be lights out time. I don't think the referee's going to call one unless it's a goal-threatening situation.
Fleming won the face-off for Minnesota, but they couldn't penetrate the offensive end. And Vanek had a little trouble, hesitated before passing ahead. And the play offside. They had Vanek out with two fourth-line players, Weibel and Fleming. John Force won his historic 100th career victory last year at Houston Raceway Park. There's a tall task ahead of him this year if he wants to repeat. Tune in to ESPN 2 for all the qualifying. Stay up late tonight. It's actually at 1 a.m. Sunday morning, for just a few hours, on ESPN 2. Final eliminations are Sunday at 5 p.m. New Hampshire into the zone. Not for long. And the play whistled down for an offside. A strange whistle. The puck was already out of the zone and going the other way.
Well, if you believe that history repeats itself, the guy you have to watch out for here, Jim Abbott, has had a lot of big goals for New Hampshire. I describe him as the quietest 94-point career in the history of the university, but scored the what proved to be the game winner last year at the Cornell game that sent them to the Frozen Four. Has had huge goals in his career. He's a big, strong guy that reacts well to traffic. He and Vanek, who has scored 1 million third period and overtime goals for Minnesota.
Here's Reinholtz to the far board. Couldn't corral it to the Golden Gophers. They're forced back into the neutral zone. Here Keith Ballard plays it back in. Andrew Besnick first there. Set it up the boards for Abbott. Backhanded along to Justin Aiken. He carries across the red line and sends it in. The play offside. Played offside, waved off as the Wildcats all clear the zone simultaneously. 12:43 left in the third in a 1-1 game. Could very well be now that the next goal wins the national championship.
Every tick of the clock makes that a little more likely, too.
Here's a long drive by Hemingway, and the rebound. The far boards to Martin. He banked it to Palikson, who tried to bank it to Geyer, but that missed. And it's taken back at center ice by Hemingway. And lost off the stick of Preston Callender. Mick Mounsey ahead to Josh Pruden, who has it back after a couple of parents. Now Callender cuts into the slot on the backhand save. Rebound stopped as well. Two chances for Preston Callender, the sophomore from Regina, Saskatchewan. And Weber held his ground nicely.
Preston Callender is the player taking Lanny Gear, their outstanding left winger's place, and he's got outstanding skill in the offensive zone. He can move the puck in and take advantage of scoring opportunities. That time, he almost rolls that rebound over Weber's pad, and he knows he almost had one there to put New Hampshire ahead 2-1. 12:02 remaining with knotted at 1.
5 of the previous 7 national championship games have been decided in overtime. That looms as a possibility here tonight. Here come the Gophers. 3-on-2 for the moment. Vanek cuts to the forehand. Vanek score! There's his dad here from Austria, Thomas Vanek. 31st goal of his freshman season, one of the great goal scorers of the nation, and against one of the great goalies.
What happens here, he just shows great poise with the puck. Waits till Ayers commits and finally has a little bit of net to shoot at. Most players, particularly young players, would get rid of this puck. Watch what poise he has. Makes Ayers commit. Doesn't have much room to shoot. Slips it in as Mounsey tries to be goalie late coming to the goal crease. Great poise with the puck. This is what makes him so special, how he holds the puck so long before he shoots it. Grab like that one.
He was the first freshman to lead Minnesota in scoring since 1970. 31st goal of the year for Vanek. And now New Hampshire, which has not been able to generate much sustained offense all night long, is going to have to find a way to score a goal here in the last 11.5 minutes if there's going to be another overtime. On center ice, Weibel snaps it in for the Golden Gophers. Swagard bounced off the check, thrown up against the glass by Krulson. And here's Patrick Foley the other way for UNH. He dumps it off for Krulson. He's hooked down to the penalty against Weibel. Right after Minnesota takes the lead, the Golden Gophers commit a penalty that'll put UNH on a much-needed power play. Weibel off for hooking at 8:59. Thomas Vanek with the goal that has given Minnesota its second lead of the night.
Power play specialist in the NHL. They got him coming. Not a lot of teams have.
What's wrong?
I don't know. It's just a little weird with them here.
They're just here because it's hockey night. They don't care about us.
Guys.
Go ahead, dude. You're fine, buddy. Doesn't matter. Guys, I need this. Come on, schmookums.
Thomas Vanek's 31st goal has given Minnesota a 1-goal lead. That's his 17th goal that has come in either the third period or overtime this season. He has the knack for scoring when they need it most.
They did need it most right there.
Will it be the national championship winning goal? Just 45 seconds after the goal, Weibel off for hooking. And New Hampshire on a power play. Their only goal tonight has come with a man advantage. Saviano had trouble with the puck along the boards. And out of the scrum came Ballard with it. Almost midway through the third period now. 10:43 remaining. A minute 40 on the power play for New Hampshire. First on it in the corner, Kowalski. He was credited with the only assist on the Vanek goal, and he shot at the length of the ice.
New Hampshire's only goal, a power play goal tonight by Collins.
Here's a chance on the forehand. Saviano had it blocked, and then a follow-up shot by Aiken turned into the corner. Krulson at the point. Now Nathan Marks along the board. Down low, some room for Saviano. Out in front for Marks. He shot it right into the middle of Weber. Good puck movement, good patience, and a good opportunity. But the shot by Martz wasn't where he would want it to be.
No, you can't get frustrated when you're moving the puck and finding a hole like that. Martz comes in from the point. Saviano finds open men beautifully, and he finds Martz there. Martz gets it right at Weber, and the other side of that coin is Weber anticipates Martz coming in and puts himself in good position to make the save.
Minnesota's been terrific on the power play in the NCAA tournament. Scored a power play goal in every game. They'd like another here to tie it. Testing shot by Stafford, and then a follow-up chance as well by Callender. Good spin move by Pruden. Pestered by the stick of Paul Martin. Entering pass deflected by Weber, and he redirected it right out of the zone.
Yeah, that was too chancy a pass when you had possession. You just can't try to make too many thread-the-needle passes in this kind of situation. They need good scoring chances.
In behind the net with 28 seconds left on the power play. Under 9.5 left in the third period now. Hemingway into the corner for Pruden. Back to Colin Hemingway, the senior. Errant pass looking for Pruden, and it's iced by Ballard right down on air.
Minnesota doing a great job of defending Hemingway. Their top power play player, they give him no room at all to get the pass.
Well, this power play opportunity just about by the boards here for UNH. Out of the box comes Weibel. 9 minutes to go. Both teams at full strength. Minnesota leads 2-1. Pruden did well to get in behind the net. Here's Hemingway. He's been out for a long time. Tried to feed Pruden, who was held off by Harrington. This line for UNH needs to get off. Here's another great carry by Vanek, and a testing shot on Ayers. Now Weibel all alone in front, and he scores!
see Thomas Vanek, and you see him sort of not a factor for 2 periods, and all of a sudden the 3rd period opens up and it becomes a Thomas Vanek show. It's a great goal by Weibel, but it's all Vanek as he broke away from Hemingway, got the shot off, gets the rebound back from Weibel, gives it back to Weibel. Weibel through traffic, nice screen in front as Minnesota sets up the screen. Well, I tell you, this is an outstanding play by a great individual player. He has such puck control, presence of mind. Weibel gives it back to him. Smart move there. Gets it back to Weibel. Then the screen set up in front. Ayers has trouble finding the puck, and Weibel with the goal. But, boy, who would say that that was anything but a huge Thomas Vanek play?
Vanek assisting on Weibel's 9th of the year. He's a junior. That's a career high in goals. He had 5 last year and 1 as a freshman. And a collision at center ice and a roughing call indicated by the referee Piotrowski. And who is it against? I believe it's going to be against New Hampshire at a time they can at least afford it.
You know, Sean, you watch that replay, and Vanek, Colin Hemingway is New Hampshire's best player and one of their strongest players, and Vanek went right through him. And Hemingway had good position with the stick, had him defended well. It didn't make any difference. He just poured right through that back check of Hemingway and then drove to the net. That's a huge play.
Weibel had 1 goal in each of their first 2 games of the NCAA tournament against Mercyhurst College and Ferris State. UNH down by 2 goals and now shorthanded. Here's Riddle with a drive and a save made by Ayers. Nifty save with the right leg. Well, that might have been lights out for New Hampshire.
He wasn't sure he had it either because he made that. Sometimes when you make the stop in that way, you don't get a good feel for the puck, and you can't find it. If you take a look at this save on the shot, he's going to make the stop, catches it in the pad, but he looks around, not quite sure that he has it. See, the puck hits the pad. You're not always sure it stays there.
8 minutes remaining. Now, does UNH have to take chances even shorthanded, Bob?
Absolutely. You can see Collins out there hanging loose for the pass.
Here's Paul Martin leading the Golden Gophers back. Shot from the point by Martin. Save made by Ayers. Another save on the follow-up. Rebound loose for a while. Vanek has his stick on it, and it caroms to the near board. Gathered there by Riddle. Martin crisply down low. Here's Vanek again, and he missed the net. Vanek set up Kowalska, who missed the net. Matt shot it right over the crossbar. Martin played it across. Ballard blistered one wide, and you get the sense that the Gophers sense the opportunity for the kill right here on this power play. 1 minute left with a man advantage. 7:13 in regulation. Kowalska stopped. Here's Martin with the Wildcats hanging on now. Martin one-times it. And Ballard went in deep, couldn't tip it. Kowalska, not sure with a 2-goal lead. Down the key really wants the plate man running in there looking for a tip. Wildcats drive it out. They go for a change. They never got all the way down, though, so they have to hustle into this change. Harrington cross ice for a one-timer. The Dyers did not get good wood on. 6:40 remaining in regulation time. 22 on the power play. They've done everything but score on this man advantage. Gamarki played it in the corner. Has it back from Talison. Cross ice it goes to Chris Harrington. Centering pass and a goal! Giant Ben Talison. 4-1 Minnesota on a power play goal.
Exceptionally well, a freshman out of Coleraine, Minnesota, Greenway High School. He sees Talison over on the right side, threads the needle across. The only thing Ayers could do is try to stop that centering pass, but it's too fast, gets by him. No chance at all. Ayers, Talison right on the doorstep for Talison, goal number 8, second on the power play. And I'll tell you, Gino Geyer thread the needle pass. What a beautiful play by the centerman, the freshman centerman. 19 years of age. Timeout
called by New Hampshire. Mike Ayers trying to fire up his teammates. They talk about how at practice, ordinarily quiet and shy young guy can get very agitated. They said about half the New Hampshire stick budget is from Ayers breaking sticks. And he's showing some of that fire to try to motivate his team. But he's really up against it now. That was a very costly roughing penalty to Nathan Marks. It leads to a power play goal for Minnesota. They might have just put this one out of reach.
Well, you knew in the situation they were in, Sean, the one thing you couldn't do was take a penalty. Martz takes a center zone roughing call. Not a good penalty. We've seen a couple of penalties on both sides not be good ones. But when you're down 3-1 and there's about 8 minutes left to go in the game, you can't kill 2 minutes of it sitting in the penalty box and hope you get a breakaway in the shorthand. Talixon, who has been very, very hot for Minnesota, is discouraged by the score, but well, I'll tell you, shouldn't be discouraged by his performance. Talixon now has 20 points in his last 14 games.
23 games earlier this year without a goal. Well, I was expected of him this year. He had 13 goals, 10 assists last season. As a freshman, with injuries and then 4 games missed to participate in the World Juniors, helped keep his point total down. Minnesota on the verge of another national championship, back-to-back, even after losing Moby Baker winner Jordan Leopold, John Cole, who was the leading scorer in the nation, now playing in Worcester, the St. Louis Blues affiliate.
I think that's pretty good, though.
Yeah, Vanek.
That's not a bad trade.
A nice replacement.
Yeah, he's bad.
He's one great player and replace him with another up front. Weber hangs on to the puck, and he won't take any chances with the puck over the final 5 minutes and 38 seconds. They're starting to count it down. In Minnesota, the Golden Gophers lead New Hampshire 4-1.
Coca-Cola brings you championship expressions.
USA! USA!
Coca-Cola brings you championship expressions. Coca-Cola, real.
Smiles on the faces of the Minnesota fans. 3 quick goals within 5 minutes and 20 seconds of each other. Turned a tight 1-1 game into a 3-goal lead with 5.5 minutes remaining. And it has to be all-out attack here for New Hampshire the rest of the way. Playing again without their leading scorer, Lanny Gare. Sideline with a shoulder injury. Here's Mick Mounsey. Nice move at the point. Got from the point, deflected wide. Collins was out in front. They jammed the net. Collins swept it to the far corner. All of the Wildcats creeping in a little closer, even the point men. And here's Ballard dumping it in carelessly with a stride behind the red line. One more stride he could have avoided the icing call. Right after this national championship game, baseball tonight. Chase Davis, Tim Kirchin, and Rob Dibble. All of the news, highlights, including exclusive in-progress highlights from Major League Baseball tonight, right after the game. Off the face-off. It's controlled by Smogard and then sent back in by Patrick Foley. Under 5 minutes remaining now. Sloppy clear. Abbott intercepted. Here's a great chance for New Hampshire. A save made by Weber. And he backed into the goal post. And the net came loose. Akins and Abbott went in. And Weber made the stop.
You know, lost in the Thomas Vanek show has been Travis Weber. I thought, Sean, when New Hampshire came with a little rush in the second period, score tied 1-1, he made a number of exceptional saves on initial shots and rebounds. And a lot of Minnesota folks thought he couldn't put 2 games together back-to-back, but he's been great for them in the playoffs. And he was tremendous against Michigan, and I think he's been very good tonight. New Hampshire hasn't had a lot of shots, but they had a few quality shots that he kept out of the net that kept the game 1-1 and gave a chance to have this 3-goal explosion here in the third.
Well, a lot of Minnesota fans were rough on Adam Hauser, and he backstopped them to the national championship last year. Maybe the folks in the Twin Cities should just get off the goaltenders.
Well, you ought to get off this one because this one, unless New Hampshire has a miracle up its sleeve, this one's going to lead you to a national championship.
4:15 remaining. Vanek swoops in again. Very long reach on that stick for Thomas Vanek. He said he chose Minnesota for this his freshman year because he wanted to win a national championship. He's 4 minutes away.
Reminds you a little bit of Jarmo Jagr, the way he has that great reach and the way he doesn't look like a great skater, but no one catches him and he goes through people.
Here's a chance for Hemingway, and he shot it way wide. Doesn't look like New Hampshire has enough snipers to execute a quick blitz here. Vanek using that long reach again. Finds Geyer, who just came on. He circles in behind the net. Waiting for the rest of the line change to be completed. Geyer jumped right into your living room. There's Halleckson. Rotulny pokes it into the corner. He'll be happy to stay right there for the remaining 3:23. Harrington bounces it in behind the net. 4-1 Minnesota. And time running out. 3:15 left in regulation time. Rotulny had it squeezed by Ayers. 3:09 remaining. Minnesota on the verge of back-to-back national championships. Minnesota leads 4-1. A big part of the Frozen Four weekend is on the off day between games.
Royal Award winner Peter Sena, Colorado College.
The awarding of the Hobie Baker Award to Peter Sena, the first European-born player to win the award, the Heisman Trophy of college hockey, if you will. He's from Slovakia. And then Sam Paolini of Cornell, the winner of the 2003 Humanitarian Award for his incredible work in the Ithaca community. Congratulations to Peter. He's back in Slovakia. Rival tried to move toward the front of the net. Sogard put it right on. Rebound just missed by Jake Fleming. 3 minutes left. You think Dick Humility down by 3 goals, but at some point, if they can get in the offensive end, might pull the goalie.
That's a big if, but the answer is yes, and I think that's what they talked about over on the bench. But you got to get it out of the zone. You know, this is tough goalie pulling territory.
Yes, can't do it down here. Stafford plays it ahead. You can hear Dick Humility whistling. They want the line change. No offensive zone possession for UNH. Here's a great chance for Ballard. And it's a shooting gallery at Ayers now. Weibel stopped it. And they smother the puck. Saviano just gave it back to him to get off the ice with a face-off with 2:25 remaining.
Sean, if you're watching a game and you're looking at a scouting a goaltender, sometimes you learn more in this kind of situation than you learn in any other. How does your goaltender play when his back's to the wall, it looks like the game is lost, and the other team has great chances? Does he pack it in, does he cave, or does he compete? Answer right there with Ayers. He competes.
Well, 10 players on the ice tonight for Minnesota who played in the national championship game last year. So they really did rebuild. Still, they've come back, and they're 2-10 away from a national championship. It'll be the 5th if it stays this way in the history of the program. And the 2nd for Don Lucia. Dick Humility trying to do anything he can to ignite a miraculous comeback.
It's a tough team to get a comeback against, so they're a pretty good hockey team. You know, teams like Minnesota and Michigan, they lose quality players, but boy, they reload with elite players. They don't reload with middle-of-the-road players.
And a save made by Weber, and you would not expect UNH to come right back, Bob. 8 juniors and 5 seniors on the ice tonight. They're going to lose a lot of key players.
Yeah, they have the core defense back and Michael Ayers back, but they're going to have to find something to score.
The goalie is out. Ayers has gone to the bench. You might as well. Doesn't matter if you lose by 3 goals, 4 goals. Take a chance. See if you can catch lightning in a bottle. Extra attacker on. Off the face-off. Saviano played it into corner. Hemingway couldn't control it. And now Stafford has to be very careful in the neutral zone with the net empty. He got it to Callender, backhanded it in deep. 1:45 remaining. Callender trying to poke it behind the net. Ballard got in the way. Up the boards it goes, but not out. Now it's Potulny with an empty net. Potulny plays it ahead. Goal! Empty netter, 5-1 Minnesota. Barry Tallickson with 1:29 to go puts it away for the Golden Gophers.
Well, if you think you're Miller, you got to pull a goaltender, but I'll tell you, they're about the worst team I can think of to pull a goaltender against. They have so much offensive firepower. You really have to be looking at lightning in a bottle if you're going to think you're going to come back. But the only choice he had was to pull a goalie, and the one thing you worry about when you do it is what's the offensive potential of the other team, and the offensive potential of Minnesota is extraordinary, and they just break the puck out of the zone after having it up against the wall, and Tallickson gets his second goal of the game, 9th of the season.
Tony will certainly get an assist. Back-to-back goals for Tallickson. He scored the 4th and 5th. 4 unanswered goals in the final 11 minutes plus. And Minnesota now 1 minute and 14 seconds away from the national championship. As we take a look at our Pontiac winning moment. And here was the goal that gave Minnesota the lead to stay. Broke a 1-1 tie. And fitting that it should be a beautiful goal scored by a fantastic goal scorer.
Yeah, and you know, you watch that play, and he just paralyzes defenseman. You got to play it because you don't know whether he's going to try to go around you. You can't play him up tight. He gets Mounsey to commit and then goes to the front side. And, you know, you also saw something there, Sean Grant Potulny. Now, he's had a tough year with the injury, missed a whole bunch of games. Captain of the team, what's he do when he's got an open net? Tosses the puck over to Tallickson, lets him get the goal.
And their season really turned around when Potulny came back. He had missed considerable action. Broke his left leg in the first game of the year. When he came back, they were 12-6-5 overall. 4th place in the WCHA, just hoping to have home ice in the first round of the conference playoffs. Since he's come back 16-2-4 with the win tonight. One player can make a huge difference. Potulny did. They were matching penalties a moment ago on Horst and Kowalska. No, it wasn't Kowalska. We were told it was Kowalska, but he's out there on the ice. Fleming for Minnesota, the player who went off for roughing.
Can't argue that. We're number 1.
For the 2nd year in a row. And New Hampshire will have to wait for another opportunity to win that elusive first national championship and bring the trophy back to that bucolic campus in Durham, New Hampshire.
You just never know how many chances you're going to get here. You know, there are no guarantees. So it's always tough when you give an opportunity up. But this was a good Minnesota team. They lost to the better team won today. This is a very strong Minnesota team, and Dana kicked the game over in the 3rd period.
They'll finish their championship season with 28 wins, 8 losses, and 9 ties. For the first time in 3 decades, college hockey has back-to-back national champions. The Minnesota Golden Gophers have done it 2 years in a row.
And the final score of tonight's game, the University of Minnesota 5, the University of New Hampshire 1. Congratulations to the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers, the 2003 NCAA.
National championship in the history of the Minnesota men's ice hockey program. Only North Dakota with 7, Michigan with 9 now have more than the Golden Gophers. Thomas Vanek certainly made it a worthwhile trip for his dad to come over from Austria as he led the way. Here's Adrian with Thomas Vanek.
Your biggest goals, most of your goals all season long have either come in the third period or overtime. How do you do it?
I don't know. I'm just so happy we won, and I don't really care how I do it. It's a team effort. You know, it's a 5-1 game. So happy and proud of this team. It's unbelievable.
To have your father, Dezenek, come halfway around the world from Austria to see you win the national championship.
It's unbelievable. I feel so happy right now. I'm so proud he's here to watch me. It's an unbelievable feeling.
Give me the feeling of your whole team as a freshman.
Oh, it's great. Unbelievable. I can't describe it. Most of the guys back-to-back for me, it's one, but the best one.
Your coach said winning the first time is one thing. It's harder to repeat. Why?
Oh, because you got a big target all year. That's why. You know, you go in and everyone's building, and they're going to bring their A game, and we knocked everyone off. We're national champs, baby.
Thomas, congratulations. Sean?
And bitter disappointment for one of the great people, not just in college hockey, but in collegiate sports, Dick Umile and his UNH Wildcats. And I think the Gophers surprised even themselves, Bob, this year. We talked with Paul Martin the other day. He said, if you told me we'd even be in the Frozen Four, losing all those players we lost a year ago, having such a young team, and then having the big injury to Potomac, I would have said, no chance.
They got great players, and they're exceptionally well coached.
Let's head down to Adrian again.
For the past couple of weeks, everybody said that Travis Weber absolutely had to show up if you guys could repeat as national champion. How do you feel now?
I feel wonderful. You know, I think I showed up. You know, I had a lot of critics coming into this, and I just kind of shut them out and used it as motivation and kind of used it to my side, and I think it helped out. I mean, look at us now. We're #1.
Minnesota hockey has so much tradition to it. What does it mean to repeat as national champion?
I mean, it hasn't been done in 31 years. I mean, can't say you've done that too many times, repeat. You know, I think this one's special for me because I didn't play in last year, so, you know, this one will mean more to me, but, you know, I mean, this is incredible.
With the impressive performance that Mike Ayers had in the first 2 periods tonight, did you feel some individual competition coming into this game with his reputation?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I knew it was going to be a goaltending game. Whichever goaltender let in the more goals is going to lose, I mean, obviously, but, yeah, I mean, he was hot early on. I mean, we were peppering him, and he was saving most of them. I mean, he's doing great. But I kind of used, you know, I just sat down there and stayed focused and, you know, didn't lose my concentration and, you know, just stuck to the task at hand.
Focus, concentration paid off. Congratulations. Sean?
Thank you, Adrian. Yes, indeed. Congratulations to Don Lucia, accepting the congratulations of his good friend Dick Umile. And the Minnesota Golden Gophers, national champions again. The final score, Minnesota 5 and New Hampshire 1. We'll be back for the trophy presentation in a moment. For the second straight year, Minnesota's Golden Gophers are college hockey's national champion. Let's go down for the trophy presentation. Once again, here's Adrian Karsten.
Sean, thank you very much. With the presentation of the National Championship Trophy, here is Mr. Ian McCaw, chairman of the NCAA Division I Men's Ice Hockey Committee. Ian?
Adrian, on behalf of the NCAA Ice Hockey Committee, it's my pleasure to present the 2003 National Championship Trophy to Coach Don Lucia, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, first back-to-back champions in 31 years. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you. This is for all of our great Gopher fans, and our guys want to say hi to Sid, because he didn't think we could get it done. Back-to-back, this goes to our great captain and leader, Grant Patoli.
Shock the world, Bobby! Shock the world!
Coach, Minnesota hockey is such a tradition. 18 of your 20 players here tonight, born and raised in the state, but you wouldn't be here without the Outlanders, certainly, Grant and Thomas Vanek.
No, we talked about how Vanek scores all his big goals in the third period, and that was a game-breaking goal to go ahead 2-1. We did a great job, and just really proud of our players. UNH is a great program. Dick Umile is an outstanding coach, and he's going to get his in the not-too-distant future.
You told me yesterday there's a solid reason why no one has repeated for 31 years. It's one thing to win the first time, but hard to repeat.
It really is, and our guys stuck with it. We've had a long year. We had a lot of injuries, but I give our kids a lot of credit. They stuck with it. We had great leadership from our captains. We're a young team, but they desperately wanted this thing back-to-back, and I thought we played one of our better games of the year tonight.
And, Coach, you said also this is not a great hockey team from a talent standpoint.
Well, I think we proved we're a pretty darn good hockey team, and after winning the national title, now I got to call them a great hockey team.
A repeat champion, Sean, for the first time since 1972, and the BU Terriers.
And Adrian, 5 teams have tried since. 5 have come back in the interim with a chance to repeat as national champions. None successful until tonight. Minnesota pulls it off. And we talk about talent, Bob. The only place where UNH might have had the edge was in the goal. Ayers, one of the great goaltenders in the nation, but Minnesota certainly had a better and deeper defense core and a better group of forwards through the 4 lines.
I thought if New Hampshire gave Minnesota 35 shots or more, they were going to lose the game. That happened. And I thought if Thomas Vanek, third period, Thomas Vanek, 2 great individual plays, 1 for goal, 1 for an assist, took the game over, and that was a huge difference. UNH fought up against the Tide all night long because Minnesota's a better team, and they ended up winning the hockey game.
And Travis Weber, as he said, got his critics off his back.
Absolutely.
He
Great
proved
effort.
that he could be one of the best goalies in the country as well. And certainly capable of backstopping a team to a national championship. That was the goal by Vanek that broke the 1-1 tie at 8:14 of the third period. It ignited the 4 unanswered goals. Weibel followed with 1 and 2 by Talixon, including the empty netter, to send Patrick Foley and UNH back to Durham. Very disappointed, but another terrific year for New Hampshire, and you hope their fans keep this in perspective as well. 15 years ago, they were thinking about just trying to get out of the basement of Hockey East.
Well, they had a great season, and Michael Ayers, there's nothing against. He played a great game tonight. He doesn't play the way he does. They're not here, and this was a great player taking over a game, and a tremendous team, University of Minnesota.
And now the ceremony on the ice over the PA system so their fans can enjoy Minnesota's triumph as well. Once again, the final score of the 2003 Men's National Championship game, Minnesota 5 and New Hampshire 1. Coming up next, baseball tonight with Reese Davis, Tim Kirkchin, and Rob Dibble. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Now for Adrian Karsten and Bob Norton, Sean McDonough saying, good night from Buffalo, New York. Congratulations to the Minnesota Golden Gophers.